welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows. How you doing, sir?
I couldn't be better. As the baby says, bah. I couldn't be better. I am very eager to start our next recording, or this recording, I guess, or this podcast. We're back.
Yeah, this recording, part 3 of our coverage of Dune Part 2.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're back. We're ready for more. I've got my guns reloaded. I've seen it again, and I am ready to talk for maybe not 6 hours, but maybe 4 more hours of Dune.
4 to 5-ish, roughly, I think is probably what we'll try to pace for today.
Depending on how much wine, No.
Let the wine flow.
No more Dune.
No more. Well, maybe a little bit more Dune, but not right now. Not right now. We've got other things to talk about. I know. It's so sad that Dune Part 2 has come and gone. Although it hasn't really gone. It's still in our hearts. It is still in our minds, So I'm sure we'll be talking about it before long. But this episode is definitely something different. It is the 96th Academy Awards. I think the third year in a tradition that we sort of inadvertently started, where we do an episode devoted to the Oscars. We did it as part of the Turning Red episode a couple years ago and had to split them after the fact because it got long and unwieldy, much like our Dune Part 2 coverage did, hence that being 2 episodes as well. And last year we did it as its own thing, fully its own thing, and we still got long and unwieldy with it, which is just how it goes. And this year we're going to do things slightly differently. We're trying to keep things in moving. We're going to do some news. And we'll see if we can manage to get everything, in one episode that doesn't feel too long. But we got a lot to cover, and I'm excited to get into the Oscars. I know you're excited. I know you're chomping at the bit a little bit yourself. But people may notice, anyone that's listened to our episodes of those that we did, 2021 or 2022 and 2023, you'll notice that we're missing someone right now, and that person that we're missing is Anna Mattis. But fear not, she will be joining us later. She's bypassing the news for now.
We flew her down to
handle
the
news.
She's staying at a hotel. I mean, we're a little past the Oscars now,
she was on the scene. Yeah. Well, she's still out there, though, so it's fine.
Yeah,
she's on her way back. She's on the plane
really
back.
milking it, so to speak. I got to stay out here. Got to, try to get these interviews in, blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
Whatever.
That's right. So as soon as
Patreon dollars lands, at work.
We're gonna shuttle her off the runway and into the recording booth, to join us to talk the 96th Academy Awards. We're going to talk Snubs. We're going to talk about, preparations for the big night. We're going to do another fashion report, the best dressed of the evening. And then we're going to get into the big winners of the night. So lots of good Oscars stuff to talk about later. But first, do you have a fun fact about anything? Whether it could be Oscars related, it could be anything.
It's actually Oscars related. I did a little deep dive on the Oscars.
What do you got for us?
And by deep dive, I mean I did a Wikipedia dive. And it was kind of a shallow dive because I only made it a couple of headers in,
Okay.
But
Let's say, did you get past the introductory paragraphs or not?
Yeah, I got past the introductory paragraph. I entered into the history, into the milestones, but not quite enough to I actually read about the Oscar statuette as well.
Okay.
But
save that for next year.
We'll save that for next year. Yeah, right. The first Academy Awards presentation was held on May 16th, 1929 at a private dinner function at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel with an audience of 270 people.
Oh, okay.
Right? It was the first one. The second ceremony was held in 1930. It was the first one by broadcast radio. Okay. And then by 1953 they televised it. Over the course of those years, they did the announcement of the winners differently. The first ceremony they were announced to the media 3 months earlier, right? Okay. The second ceremony in 1930, and the rest of the first decade, they were given to newspapers for publication at 11 p.m. the night before. Or the night of the awards. I'm sorry, the night of the awards.
I see. Okay.
And so it's interesting to see how the award ceremony progresses. What's really cool is the first year they actually they recognize the winners of the awards by the works that they did within the year or within the acceptable time of the award, right? So we do by calendar year. So if it was done today, it would be all of Timmy Chalamet's work throughout the year, right?
Okay.
And then that eventually changed to works done on a particular project within the year, right? So that's I think that's pretty interesting. International films weren't introduced until 1957, which is interesting. And so Oscars is it's. Oh, I said that I wasn't going to talk about the Oscars, but I'm talking about the actual statuette. The statuette is a golden knight standing on top of a film reel,
right,
which represents. Hold on a second. Actors, writers, directors, producers, and technicians. The 5 spokes of that film reel is what the knight is standing on, and that knight is molded in like Art Deco style. It's plated in gold, and there's some stuff that goes into like, how they actually make it, blah, 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 blah. Those facts are less fun, so I'm cutting them out.
Okay. Again, maybe next year. Maybe next year you can see if you revisit it, see if they feel more fun. I
can talk about the Academy Award of Merit, which it's actually called. So that's cool.
Okay. All right. I don't think I knew that. So that in and of itself was a little bit of a fun fact. I don't think I knew that. What it was actually called. I just thought it was called the Oscar statue.
Nope. It's called the Academy Award.
You learn something new every day.
Okay. How about that?
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, I feel like I've been inundated with some Academy Awards knowledge, and I feel better for it. But I think it's time for us to move on and again, this is like a lot of news catch up that we're going to be doing just to flag it. We're not going to be fully caught up by the end of this episode, but we're going to make some headway. We kept it intentionally kind of light for Dune Part 2.
And we're trying to wrap it up real quick to keep it moving.
We're trying to keep things moving. We're trying to play a little catch up. Maybe by next episode or two, we'll be like kind of caught up on news and stuff. But we're gonna try to move through this at a decent clip, at least a better clip than we sometimes do. So we will begin with more Game of Thrones.
Jesus Christ.
What do you think? How many more fucking Game of Thrones shows can we have? The answer is as many as you can possibly imagine. We are going to get an Aegon's Conquest spinoff. This is in the works from the uncredited writer of the first The Batman, as well as the co-writer of the upcoming The Batman Part 2, Mattson Tomlin, who also worked on a Keanu Reeves comic called Berserker and is working on that Netflix Terminator series, which is, I think, supposed to come out later this year. This is going to be basically a direct prequel to House of the Dragon. It's going to tell the story of the Targaryens' bloody and brutal conquest of Westeros. It will follow Aegon Targaryen, who conquered the continent of Westeros with his sister wives. Look at that. Just some great Targaryen lore right there. And, of course, some dragons. Unifying 6 of the 7 kingdoms in just 2 years. So there you go. That's the whole show. I've just laid it out for you. Spoilers, everyone. What do you think? You game for more?
No.
How about more House of the Dragon? Let's start there.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. We can do that.
Right.
You
don't need
just give me one thing at a time.
We're getting Duncan Egg, I think, is coming as well. I believe that's been greenlit. So they're just all in. Now that House of the Dragon has kind of reinvigorated the franchise after the ending of Game of Thrones ruined it for everyone. It kind of feels like HBO is like, oh, this is money. This is just, we can print money this way. Just keep making these things. So yeah, I mean, I can't say you're wrong. I feel like there's the one project that you always want, I feel like you always...
I mean, don't get me wrong. House of the Dragon deserves a sequel, right? That's got a good trajectory.
Well, this is a prequel. This is a prequel. We already got the sequel. It's called Game of Thrones.
The one that I really want's way back. We haven't gotten that, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay because the Dance of the Dragons deal is coming up, and that's pretty cool. So we'll see we'll see what happens. I don't necessarily need Mattson Tomlin's Aegon's Conquest deal. I don't need that, really, But as with all things,
it could be good. There's no reason it can't be good. But do we need it? The answer is probably not. no one's really asking for this, I guess. So,
well, Meadows is not. One Meadows is not asking for it. So,
well, maybe when we get more House of the Dragon and you're just, super jazzed about it, maybe you'll change your tune. I don't know. Or maybe when you see a trailer for this, maybe you'll think, okay,
that's it. We'll see what happens. I
just think this is too thematically similar to House of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, obviously it's different. It's Conquest, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, can we get away from the Targaryens at some point, maybe? Maybe
no,
that would be
we can't, because
something
that's
more
what ties
interesting.
it to Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
you're scared.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll stay tuned on further developments on that front, as it's time to move on to our next piece of news. We are getting another Predator film, which maybe on the surface may not be the most exciting piece of news, but I think when you hear a little bit more, you'll get a little bit more excited. This next movie is going to be called Badlands. It is basically a follow-up to Prey, which we got in 2022. It is bringing back director Dan Trachtenberg, who worked on Prey, and it's basically kind of doing a similar thing of picking a totally different period of time, having a female lead, and then boom, she has to go up against a predator. So this one is apparently going to be set in the future. So, Prey was set in 1719, set around a Comanche woman. That was kind of like a period piece sort of thing. This is going into the future, and some woman's going to have to face off against a predator, and maybe somewhere called the Badlands, unclear. But bringing back a lot of components from Prey. I believe maybe the same writer as well. So yeah, what do you think about that? Badlands.
This is the same director from Prey?
Correct, yes.
I thought Prey was incredible. I thought it was super fucking good.
Yeah, I agree.
I did not know
Hulu,
that it earned,
they kind of,
I didn't know it earned an Emmy nomination.
It did, right? Because it was a straight-to-streaming movie. I think it qualified for, I guess, Emmy consideration at that point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what this guy. He's done The Boys. He's done a Black Mirror episode, 2016, episode 1. I don't know what episode that is.
10 Cloverfield Lane was a movie he directed as well. So
yeah, no, I'm game. Yeah, yeah, I'm 100% full steam ahead, sir. Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Prey showed that the Predator, the first Predator, showed that Predators could be a really fucking cool thing, and it's kind of been the subsequent movies that have kind of bungled it a little bit, even when they've been like better concepts. Like I think Predators was a good concept and like a okay execution, but Prey was like, oh, this is a really cool concept, and what do you know? If you execute it really well, it turns out to be like a really cool movie. Like it wasn't the most amazing movie of all time or anything, but it was a really, really cool thing.
For sure.
So I'm definitely keen to see more in this realm.
He directed the first episode of The Boys.
The one where the pilot,
with the one
pilot of The Boys.
Yeah, the guy ran through the
runs through his girlfriend. Yeah, brutal, fucking brutal. Robin, don't forget about Robin.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't forget about Robin. I mean, I know Huey's moved on. He's with Starlight now, but we never forget about Robin. That's why he became one of the boys.
He did the Black Mirror episode. I don't know if you've seen the Black Mirror episode where
maybe or maybe not.
Where it's the video game
I've seen some,
deal?
but not all. Oh,
it's called Playtest. It's the one with Wyatt Russell.
I don't think so. No, I don't think I watched that one. No.
Yeah, that one's pretty fucking cool.
One day, though.
One day. Yeah. So yeah, he's got chops. Let's let him direct what he wants to direct.
Let him cook. Let him cook with some more Predator goodness. So good. Good. We say we give that one the thumbs up. Now I'm going to give the thumbs up, or I'm going to give the thumbs down to Warner Brothers because they're continuing to piss me off with this next piece of news. We're going to check back in on Coyote versus Acme, which I think we probably a few episodes ago now, which probably is roughly a couple months ago-ish. I'm not exactly sure. We kind of caught up on what was going on with it. This is for anyone that maybe didn't hear that, Coyote versus Acme is this movie based off like a magazine article, which is basically Wile E. Coyote has decided to sue the Acme Corporation because I guess bad things keep happening to him as a result of that. So it's this kind of the silly mashup of live action and animation, Roger Rabbit style almost, with Will Forte playing Wile E. Coyote's lawyer, John Cena playing the Acme Corporation's lawyer. And, it did test screenings and everything, and people seemed to really like it, seemed to enjoy it. And WB made the decision, we're going to pull the plug on this, we're going to Batgirl this, we're going to Scoob, Holiday Haunt this, and it will never see the light of day. And then they kind of seemed to reverse course, and they seem to be open to, maybe we'll just sell this. Maybe a rival studio will offer us some amount of money, and we will sell this, and then they can distribute it, and whatever, and great. Everyone's happy. They get to see this movie. It's off our fucking plate. We don't have to deal with it. But the news now, this is coming from the Wrap, is that basically they did indeed try to shop it, and basically they were looking for like $75 to $80 million from anyone trying to buy this, the rights to have this movie and distribute it. And it sounds like some studios did offer, but not anywhere close to that. It sounds like they didn't know what WB was looking for, so they just kind of made their best offer, their first offer, and then WB didn't want to negotiate, and they just said fuck it, and now they're just like, we're just going to cancel it after all. So it kind of sounds like it was all done in bad faith. It was just like, if someone offers us a stupid amount of money, we'll say yes. Otherwise, we're getting our tax write-off on this shit, or whatever, So I don't understand I don't fully understand the Hollywood math of how this all fucking works, of how they're, going to stand. Like, I don't understand how, if they take a $30 million tax write-off, if selling it for $40 million isn't a better deal for them. Like, maybe I should know that because I'm a lawyer or whatever, but it's outside of my realm of expertise. Let's put it that way.
Maybe we should get a Hollywood executive on the podcast.
Yeah, get old David Zaslav, the fucking asshole that's running WB Discovery, who apparently didn't even watch this movie. Canned it without even watching it. Nope, not for me. It's got cartoons in it. It's for kids. Don't want that. Is probably what he said. So, it sounds like a lot of the execs never watched the movie, despite the test screenings and everything. They just, for whatever reason, they're so fucking committed to just shit canning this movie that they don't even want to sell it. They don't want to, and I do think there's a certain thing of like, they just don't want to be embarrassed at this point, of, well, what if it does really well? What if it goes to a rival studio and it makes fucking, $100 million for them? Like, then we look like idiots. And it's like, they would rather just bury this story, never have to deal with it again. And that's that. Apparently the whole plot has leaked. The actual movie itself has not. We don't have a X-Men Origins Wolverine work print, running around or anything like that. But there is a full, plot synopsis, like completely out there. So, I mean, the writer recently, I think actually at the Oscars, on the red carpet, said that, the film may still be released, that conversations are still ongoing, but I'm pretty sure that WB has already claimed their, tax write-down on it, which to me suggests that it's in the vault, or, maybe even deleted off servers at this point. I don't know. But long story short, it does sound like it's not happening, and I think that's a damn shame. So those are my 2 cents on it. I know I've been kind of rambling as I have explained, try to get everyone up to speed on what's going on with this. So I'll leave it to you if you have any other thoughts on it. Otherwise, we can move on.
Sounds like an interesting concept. I don't, I don't know. It just kind of sounds like, it must, in one hand, you say it must be really bad if nobody's willing to pay for it, right? At the same time,
they're willing to pay for it. They're just maybe not willing to pay the asking price of $80 million, or they might be willing to pay that, but they didn't know what the asking price was in the first place because they were never told that.
So, in other words, it was a blind auction. That's what that's called.
Right.
Silent blind auction.
Okay, there we go.
Right.
Look at that. You're the expert on this. You're the expert.
So if that's the case, do they put movies for sale for blind auctions? I don't know if that's a thing,
I don't know. I don't know exactly
for that kind of money, you think,
yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I'll let you lose $5 million. I'll offer 75. Or at what point do you cut your losses? I don't know. It's awfully a lot of money. But I'm done talking about that shit because it's over. It's going to be done.
It is what it is. Hey, if it comes out, it comes out, and we'll watch it. Okay,
that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on then to talking about something I don't know if I'm quite ready to talk about, but we're going to talk about it.
All right. Sam Mendes.
The Beatles cinematic universe is happening. And I know you're thinking to yourself, oh, I've been dreaming about this day. I've been, I got to pinch myself to make sure that this moment is real. And indeed, we are here. The Beatles cinematic universe is real. We are going to get 4 separate feature films about each of the members of the Beatles, except for the one guy that was in it for a time and then he wasn't in it because Ringo was in. So John, Paul, George, Ringo, 4 movies, and Sam Mendes is going to direct them all. Each is going to be about, one member's point of view. They're going to intersect to tell the astonishing story of the greatest band in history. And Sony's behind this. Who else would conjure such an idea? They are going to finance and distribute all 4 feature films theatrically in 2027. That's right. These are all going to come to theaters. It's going to be an innovative and groundbreaking release strategy. The studio promises. So are you ready for the BCU? Are you ready? Are you a Beatles fan in the first place?
I am a big
do you
Beatles
like the Beatles?
fan.
Okay, starting point. You do like the Beatles, so
yeah,
maybe
I've got Abbey Road on vinyl, and I listen to it all the time. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
Big fan of the Beatles. I really do like the Beatles, but I don't need the.
Do you need one?
I don't need the Beatles cinematic universe. No.
Would one movie do? Maybe 2.
One movie would probably suffice.
You're not asking for a Ringo movie, is what you're saying?
No. I mean, if you did like one Beatle movie and then maybe like what's that guy's name? A John Lennon movie, like
you could do a John Lennon movie and then maybe like a Beatle. Yeah.
Maybe you could do something like that, right? But
maybe.
I don't need much more than that.
Or wait for this. Maybe you could just do a miniseries to streaming.
Yeah, that would totally
like
suffice.
a 4-episode miniseries.
Yeah,
and you could do that.
You could do it. You could hire the guy that did the fucking Chernobyl, and you can make it good.
Last of Us is going to be wrapped up probably by then. He'll be free. He could do this.
Yeah.
But no, 4 movies. You're going to get 4 movies and you're going to like it. We're going to watch every single one of them.
So that's
do bonus episodes on them.
2, 4, 6, 8 hours of Beatle movies that you have to go to the movie theaters to experience.
Right, of course.
I just think it's a poor decision.
And I just
We're
think
going to talk
it's a
about
huge
another
missed
Sony
opportunity.
decision here later on in these episodes. I don't know what the fuck they're smoking. I don't know who's sitting in those tables.
A thing or two, perhaps. A thing or two.
Yeah,
I just, to me, it's kind of just like,
who's
you're really
asking
missing an
for that?
opportunity. Well, I mean, so many people, obviously, but you're missing an opportunity to not have a 5th movie just called The Beatles. You got to fully Avengers it. You got to commit to it, right? So I don't know what they're doing here. They're definitely. Maybe that's a surprise. Because when Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk were announced, the thought was we'll make the Avengers, but they didn't say that out loud until a little bit later. So maybe that's what's going on here. I know what you're up to, Sony. You can't fool me.
I don't discredit the Beatles, to be fair, but
I mean, to be quite honest, there are a couple of them that are not here to protest these 4 movies being made. So their families have granted full life story and music rights though, so the families are all in. And Paul and Ringo, they are still with us, thankfully, and they are all in apparently, or at least they like the money that they're going to be getting for it. So, it's happening. Whether you like it or not, the BCU is real and is here to stay, apparently. So, Sam Mendes, fuck it, man. It's wild. Anyway, we will come back to the BCU, I'm sure, at some point. So, anything else to add there?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, the next piece of news, I think, I feel like we've kind of been on a real seesaw sort of thing. Maybe not strictly speaking, but kind of close to it. We talked about this a little while back. We're going to be getting another Jurassic World movie, which on the face, probably not the most exciting announcement. It's going to be bringing back the original writer of Jurassic Park, David Koepp, and it's basically going to be kind of a new direction for the franchise. So probably no Chris Pratt, probably no Bryce Dallas Howard, probably no Sam Neill, probably no Laura Dern, or probably no Jeff Goldblum. But it is going to be bringing in a new director, a director that is new to this franchise, a director who is not unfamiliar with scale and monsters and stuff. And that director is Gareth Edwards. So Gareth Edwards is on board for Jurassic World.
That's a big get.
4 or Jurassic Park 7, whatever you want to call it. Whatever Jurassic Universe, who knows what it's going to be called. David Leitch was in talks for a hot minute there, but apparently the negotiations fell apart, and Gareth Edwards was here. And I think it's a really good fit. I think in terms of just a marriage of sensibilities and what this franchise is. I think that, those Jurassic World movies got real bad real quickly. This feels like maybe, I don't know. I didn't think I'd be interested in a fucking Jurassic World 4 or whatever you want to call this, but Gareth Edwards has me interested, I must say. I don't know. What do you think? Does that?
I think it's a fabulous get. It's a very good get. I think if anybody can capture like the, I think it probably needs to be returned to like Jurassic Park sensibilities. I think, which I guess if it's a Jurassic World property, maybe that's,
yeah, and that may just be because Jurassic World is the more recent one. I don't know exactly what the branding is going to be on this. Like, if they really want to separate it, they shouldn't call it Jurassic World.
Right. I think Gareth Edwards has got the right tools in his toolbox to craft a movie that's good in the Jurassic World and is good in the Jurassic Park. Although I think the things that make it so awesome, like the property itself, is and something that I think Gareth Edwards is really capable of capturing is the wonder and like the shock and awe of a Jurassic Park, right? Something that's it's never before seen, and it's I think he can really capture those moments that Spielberg caught.
Sure.
Not that he can't do something cool and fascinating with Jurassic World, but I do think it's a fascinating. It's an exciting get. It's something that kind of invigorates me to kind of like go back and visit. When he makes it, I will go see it. Versus, they're making another one. I guess I'll go see it.
Literally, the last one we didn't even do an episode on because there was no enthusiasm there. It was like by the time we watched it, we're like it was. Maybe even worse than we imagined it would be, which is impressive in its own right. But
I wasted my time going to watch this. Right.
Yeah.
So
no, thank you.
I'm very excited to see somebody as accomplished as Gareth Edwards get behind the camera and get behind the crew and kind of push for maybe a new perspective. And I think it'll be appreciated. I think it'll probably elevate the IP. So excited about that one.
I agree. And they are fucking rocketing this to theaters July 2nd of 2025. This is just over a year away, apparently.
Jesus.
So he needs to start shooting real soon if they want to make them dinosaurs look real good.
I expect a delay.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely a CGI heavy project. So unless they found a way to bring those dinosaurs actually, to real life, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. That feels like a tight fit, a tight squeeze in terms of the turnaround. But hey, anything can happen. Gareth Edwards, he can get you under budget. He can get you things that look real good. He can do it. So maybe that's why they got him. All right. Let's see. A couple more headlines for everyone here. Mickey 17. You know anything about Mickey 17 prior to, looking at the script? Have you heard anything about a movie called Mickey 17?
No idea
Nothing about
Mickey 17 is.
All right. Well, so this is a movie that once upon a time would have found its place on our 2024 A Look Ahead schedule.
Okay.
But before we recorded that, it had already been removed from its original release date. So this was originally set to come out March 29th, which, as of recording, is pretty soon. As of when this episode being out is either in the past or very soon as well. And it has been bumped all the way to January 31st of 2025.
Oh.
Now, okay, great. Release dates is fine. What is it? This is the next movie from Bong Joon-ho, from Parasite's Bong Joon-ho.
Oh, man.
And that's a big deal. It's a big deal. It is starring Robert Pattinson as its lead. I think it's based off of a novel, a 2022 novel. It is described as a high concept cerebral thriller a la The Martian, Dark Matter. Pattinson plays a quote-unquote expendable, which is a disposable employee on a human expedition sent to colonize an ice planet, who refuses to let his replacement clone take his place. So that's what's going on with that. Other cast members include Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. So
Holy
stacked
shit!
cast.
Yeah,
Bong Joon-ho, directing. Mickey 17, some sci-fi shit.
sounds like high sci-fi. Yeah,
It sounds fucking cool. Sounds cool. So I'm pretty jazzed for this movie that we haven't talked about at all until this point. How about you?
110%. If pushing it back till 2025 gives it time to incubate and gives everybody time to do what they need to do. Do it. I've never
For sure.
not been in the camp of take your time, make something worth making.
Right. Don't rush it just because you set a release date and you have to
exactly take your time, make it worth make it worth making. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yeah.
It sounds cool. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Apparently, the new release date will allow it to open in IMAX. So I don't know if it'll necessarily be an IMAX sort of thing, but maybe a trailer might make me think otherwise. Maybe it'll make me think, you should be seeing this on IMAX. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to it. So that brings us to our last headline, which I'm curious to actually talk about because I thought it might have come up on our last, I guess set of episodes, I guess really the last episode when we got to catching up, but no one talked about this thing. Kind of came and went, and it was something that we talked about quite a bit on our Look Ahead episode, to the point where we even gave it a blade in the art. This got a little blade. And I am talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix adaptation. Season 1 dropped all at once, 10 episodes on Netflix, I think the end of February. We got news more recently, within the past couple of weeks, that it has been renewed for not one but 2 more seasons. It is going to get seasons 2 and 3, which will be the completion of it. So it's going to get 3 seasons total, which is the same as what the animated show had. It had the 3 books, so it's kind of the idea of each season is going to be adapting a book from the animated show. So it's going to be a complete story when all is said and done, which in the world of Netflix, where they cancel shit left and right, I think it was a legitimate concern of
that makes it worth.
Is this going to get more than a season 1? So it sounds like, it didn't seem like Enrique had gone in on this at all. Have you watched any of the Netflix adaptation thus far? I know we talked about maybe going in.
As far as television goes, I've been sucked into Shogun, pretty hard. But and the thing of concern really was, does season 1 take off enough for them to complete the vision? Because without replicating the experience that I got from like Avatar in general, of like the first series, before it went to like Korra and stuff, without completing that arc, I don't want to invest my time in it, to be honest with you, because
that's the problem with a lot of TV shows in general, of course, but Netflix particularly. It's just like,
but especially Avatar, something that I know has a complete arc, and it's super rewarding to watch the growth of the characters and everything else.
And if you just stop at 1/3 of the way through the entire story,
fuck that.
It's not a satisfying end.
No, I'm
it's
not
a third of a story.
So if they're committed to making
we said,
a full,
if Dune had ended with Dune Part 1 and Part 2 never got made, it would not have been satisfying.
No.
You're missing a good chunk of the story. Even more so here if you didn't get 2/3 of it out. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So
yeah,
knowing that there's knowing that they're completing the arc, it makes it worth, I think, investing the time in. So I think after my time with Shogun, I think I might spend my time with Avatar. Right.
All right. Well, I know that I'm not hopping in eminently. I have been trying to read some of the comics, which Anna has been trying to get me to read for many months now. I did read another one, so I think I have 4 more, and then we're going to start Korra, and then maybe we'll venture into Atla Netflix territory, which by the time that happens, by the time we get to the Netflix one, season 2 will probably be on the horizon, or, so it'll probably work out well enough in terms of that sort of timing. So, I heard it was okay. I heard, it made changes, it did things okay, and overall, most people seem to agree it's better than the Shyamalan adaptation, which says a lot.
That bar is in the dirt, so it's okay.
But I'd be curious to give it a go, and I totally agree. The fact that it is getting a full version, definitely. If it was done after season 1, I would never bother, because why? Why would you? So yeah, this does kind of rekindle some of my interest in it, but not enough to get me to watch it super soon. But hey, I'll get around to it at some point. And if you get around to it sooner, great, we can talk about it then. But next we should talk about some trailers. Are you ready to talk about some trailers? Are you ready to move on and talk about some trailers?
Yeah, let's do it. What do we got?
All right. Let us begin some trailers with our first official trailer for an Apple TV Plus show called Manhunt, which we did talk. I included it here very specifically because we talked about it on our Look Ahead episode. And by the time that episode went out on the air, it was like, well, we don't have a trailer for this, otherwise we talk about it. And then, of course, a trailer had already come out in the interim, so I figured we should circle back around to it and talk about it now. So Manhunt is, to remind you, well, because you watched the trailer, but to remind our listeners, I suppose, if they haven't seen this trailer, it is about the high-stakes hunt for John Wilkes Booth after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. It has already started streaming on Apple TV, I will say, but I think they do a sort of weekly basis. Maybe they might do 1 or 2 to start. But this is still ongoing, so it's going to be running through mid-April. It looks like so we're still sort of timely with getting around to this. So now that you've seen a trailer for this, I told you about the concept. Obviously, as we talked about on a Look Ahead, all right, you're busy with Shogun. Maybe you'll go to Atla next or something like that. But does Manhunt squeeze in there somewhere now based on this?
Well, I think the actors kind of demand a little attention, right? The cast behind this project, it's pretty strong. I think the trailer looks fine. It doesn't look like anything terribly groundbreaking, but sounds like an interesting project. I aside from John Wilkes Booth assassinating Lincoln, I don't think I know a whole lot about the situation.
You don't really know the ensuing story, I guess. What
right?
happens after
and
moment.
if this is flourished by a little bit of Hollywood magic or whatever, that's okay. But I don't necessarily know that I know the story or anything that makes it terribly interesting. So I think it looks well made. I think that the cast behind it looks pretty interesting, and might be worth watching.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see this being worthwhile. The reviews are pretty good without being amazing. They are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this is a show that we literally included on an episode, and then I already forgot it existed and what it came out. And I feel like Apple TV shows are like that, but they're all kind of consistently good quality. It seems like they rarely miss on the TV side of things, but they always just seem to fly under the radar for me. I mean, Ted Lasso obviously was a huge one that you caught up on recently,
good, dude.
And that obviously got a lot of exposure too, certainly beyond this podcast. But it does seem like they kind of just consistently put out stuff that seems to hit the mark for what it's trying to be. So, and this looks like it could be interesting. I'm not queuing it up right away. Obviously, got other things to watch myself too, but I can see this being pretty good. So, I'd be curious maybe to give it a look. When I have a little bit more free time or something like that. I don't know, but I did think it looked interesting enough. I thought it looked, pretty well done for what it is. An interesting kind of, side of the story that we don't really see.
Historical fiction at the very least, right?
Yeah, historical fiction is interesting. It's cool. I like that. So, yeah. If either of us watch it, we'll talk about it. But it's on now for anyone that does want to watch it on Apple TV who wants to follow it on a weekly basis. You can do that. It's already started. It is there. It is there for you to start. I think 2 or 3. I think 2 episodes are up now.
Damn.
The third one's dropping very soon. Will be up by the time this episode is available. Certainly to say that much. So yeah, Manhunt on Apple TV Plus. Now our next trailer. I don't know if trailer is the right word. It's definitely the shortest trailer. It's certainly the shortest trailer we'll probably talk about the entire year. Moana 2. We got. They're calling it a first look announcement on the YouTube page, so we'll stick with that first look announcement. This was fucking out of nowhere. So basically, they just kind of dropped this maybe in the middle of a fucking I don't know, like investor call or some shit. But Moana 2 is not only number one happening, which was news. It is coming out November of this year, November 27th of this year. We're getting a little Thanksgiving action for Moana 2, which is crazy, which is kind of crazy and out of nowhere. Exciting. I think, since this first look has come out, it's been confirmed that Ali Carvalho and Dwayne Johnson will be back as Moana and Maui, which I kind of figured they would be. It'd be kind of weird to make a Moana 2 without Moana and without Maui. But yeah, it's happening. What do you think? Are you a fan of Moana 1? Do you want Moana 2?
Of course. Yeah.
I am Moana. Yeah, it's good, man.
That one's good. I really
restraining.
tried to pull the fucking crab in, but I couldn't remember the words. So
Tamatoa.
sparkly, or whatever the fuck he is.
Too shiny.
Too shiny. Yeah.
Scrub the deck and make it look shiny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gold. It's so good. Big fan of the Moanas. The sand looks good. The water tech looks good. And we'll see what they have to do in a second story, I'm sure. It says the animated stories. I'm sure they can do a good job.
I'm sure they can come up with something. Yeah.
Regardless, I'll watch it.
This first look did not give us any indication of what the story is going to be, certainly.
She can blow into a conch.
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
It is. So the somewhat interesting side of this is they announced a Moana TV show for Disney Plus a few years back. And this is that TV show. They have repurposed it, reworked it into a theatrical sequel.
That makes me less excited.
We're not going to be getting the TV show still. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just they had too many ideas, or they didn't have enough ideas to fill out a whole show, and they thought, let's just make this a movie. I don't know. I'll be curious to once we know more about it, like the story and stuff. I think that'll kind of guide my enthusiasm more so. I mean, I'm excited for it because it feels like a no-brainer to do a sequel to Moana. It's now been
long time.
Christ, coming up on like 8 years or something like that. So it's been a while. It doesn't feel like it's been a while, but it's been a while. So yeah, Moana 2 is coming out later this year. Surprise, motherfuckers. That's not appropriate for anyone that watches Moana. That language was too harsh. I apologize for that. But maybe the people that like Moana, maybe they also like Sonic the Hedgehog. I like Moana.
I like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I don't know if I like Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2 ain't that one.
I like both of them. Both of them were
you like both of them. You certainly like the first one more than I did. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But we're getting Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but before we get that, in just a little over a month's time, we're going to be getting Knuckles,
which stars
the TV series.
The Wish version of John Gordon, or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. Josh Gordon, or whatever the fuck the guy that does karaoke with the stars. You know what I'm talking about?
James Corden?
Yes. It's the Wish Warden. It's the Wish version of James Corden. Yes.
I think James Corden is already like a Wish version of someone that's funny. So this is really
like
attenuated.
a triple down Wish, right?
Yeah. It's the off-brand Wish, whatever that is. Hey, but it is bringing back Idris Elba to voice Knuckles. He's back. They got him back, and they're bringing back. I mean, Sonic was in this trailer. Ben Schwartz is schwartzing about with his voice, and Tails is in it, and I think Tika Sumpter was in it. We don't know if the juror James Marsden will make an appearance on this or not, but he might be too good. He might be reserved only for movie appearances. But
no Jim Carrey, that's for sure.
No Jim Carrey, although he is supposed to return for Sonic 3, It would seem. But this is kind of the midquel. This is between Sonic 2 and between, setting up the events of Sonic 3, when we get Shadow and all that cool shit. So let's stick with Knuckles for now. Are you Paramount? It's coming to Paramount Plus. What do you think? Are you in for this? You like those Sonic movies.
I don't have Paramount Plus. I've never watched anything on Paramount Plus. I haven't seen the new Halo. I'd watch Halo before I watched this.
Any Halo, huh? That's another one we could be watching, huh? Yeah, we could be watching Halo.
I haven't watched it because, quite frankly, I'm spending like $300 on fucking streaming platforms. I don't want to spend any more money.
Fair.
You know. So, anyways, this is coming out, and it looks like it might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks similar to the Sonic movies. I think in terms of tone and feel.
It looks adjacent, is what I'll say. Yes. Without Jim Carrey and the other fella.
Cyclops.
James. Yeah, Cyclops, right. So, or jury duty, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
Yeah, I think the thing that maybe makes me more apprehensive is Sonic can get away with like what it does for like an hour and a half, and then I think it gets old and tired. This is only 6 episodes, which is pretty short for a TV show, but
that's 6 hours at least.
Is that going to feel long? Like, I mean, are these going to be 30-minute deals? Like, maybe that's fine because then it's just kind of like a little bit longer than a Sonic movie. Like, I worry that this gets a little too much. This ends up being too long in the tooth, that it kind of takes away from the style of humor and everything that it's trying to be, that I think works in small doses, and obviously when it's brought to life with you know good
Marsden
people and stuff. But
Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of find it hard to like I don't, you know, but by the same token, like, all right, I'll spend 2 hours at a theater, you know, between getting there and leaving and all that and watching the movie. Am I going to sit at home and turn on Paramount Plus and then watch Knuckles, the series, you know, 6 episodes, do that 6 different times, or 6, you know, 6 hours in a row or whatever, because I'm waiting for it to be over and binge
we gotta watch Knuckles.
I mean, we could. I'm not saying we won't. I'm not saying I'm not, that I'm opposed to it. I just...
Hey, don't ring the doorbell, motherfuckers. We're watching Knuckles. Probably not. That's not the case. Probably not the case.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. Well, maybe the reviews will convince us that it's time. But maybe, you know, it's only like a week away now. It's only like a week away. Godzilla times Kong equals the new empire. We have another trailer for it, official trailer 2. I put it in here because I don't know that this trailer offered much more than the first trailer did that we would have talked about already. But we're so close to its release, I really just wanted to ask you, Are we seeing this movie in theaters? What are we doing with old Godzilla times Kong? What do you reckon?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like they got a little baby Kong in there, you know.
They're facing a threat that, you know, they're both scared shitless of them. Like, these dudes tackled like King Ghidorah. Like, fuck off, man. They got Mecha Godzilla in the last one.
And they're worried about the whip Kong.
It's a big ape guy, you know. Like, come on. And it's just an evil King Kong.
That's the way I feel about it. And then something. Maybe that's just like the sizzle, you know. Maybe it's not. That's
what I'm hoping, because Mecha Godzilla was not really like it was Godzilla versus Kong. You know, they were fighting each other until there was the, you know, doomsday type threat to unite them and have them fight against. I really hope there's a wrinkle here,
other than the red monkey. Yeah,
because that doesn't do anything for me. Like, that's not interesting. I know they probably played their hand a little too early by doing Ghidorah in the second Godzilla movie, but like this isn't it.
I guess we'll see what happens. After Godzilla -1, to be completely frank, I find it hard to be vested in this universe. You know, but if there's nothing going on,
TV show, also an Apple TV show, Monarch, I think is like that they got the Russells in for that. They got Kurt and Wyatt, you know, to play the same character, decades apart, which is neat.
Is that like the in between this and that, or
it is, I think, after the events of Godzilla 2014, the Gareth Edwards one, but I think maybe before King of the Monsters, or definitely before they start doing Hollow Earth shit. It's before that.
Okay, so we're
or maybe it kind of deals with that a little bit, but I think that
we revisit Hollow Earth in this one very obviously.
Very much so, yes.
So yeah, you know, I mean, I like it well enough. It's fun. You know,
it is fun. It's just
it's not Godzilla -1. Godzilla -1 was so fucking good, dude.
Yeah, the Japanese seem to have a better grasp on how you know, on old Big G. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of looks kind of video gamey and like obviously intentionally a bit silly and, you know, and cheeky, but I just don't know like I found myself watching this 3-minute trailer thinking, I don't know if I can do this for 2 hours. I don't know if I can do it.
And I have to like, hey, listen, can you watch the baby, or do we need to have a babysitter, or this or that?
Yeah, and yeah, it's a whole conversation, And do you need to have that conversation?
Do I want to have that sacrifice on this one? Yeah, oh, is that a baby Kong? And like that little fucking monkey. What the fuck's who is that little baby monkey? Anyways,
hey, I guess that's what you go to see.
That one monkey has a whip straight out of.
It's got a whip, I mean.
What's that movie with the video games and the rollerblade rink? You know what I'm talking about. It's the one. It's the girl had the big eyes, like
Alita.
Alita. It's like a little battle angel. Yeah. That one monkey's got the whip from Alita Battle Angel.
Okay, sure.
You can't convince me that I'm wrong. That they share the things that they make. Like if I make a whip thing, well, we might change a little bit this and that, but I'm gonna share the geography and not the geography, but the geometry of that item.
The assets are just
the assets. The assets are shared.
I already made this. I already did this with this whip. Just plug it in. Just
exactly. They're sharing assets on this shit,
dude. Probably.
Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. Well, March 29th, which again, hey, I don't know when that is relative to when you're hearing this, but we may or may not cover it. I'll fucking see it at some point. It's just, do I see it? Yeah. Do I see it, when it comes out? Do we cover it? I don't know. TBD, I guess. TBD. All right. So we have 3 more trailers. I think 3...
I feel very passionate about the next one that we're about to talk about.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell the listeners what it is then?
So there's a movie coming out called Borderlands. It's got a star-studded cast.
It has a very stacked cast for something that is a video game movie. I mean,
So we're talking Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Edgar Ramirez, Ariana Greenblatt, Florian I shall let you done all this. And then it's
Montanu.
Yep. Gina.
And Gina Gershon and Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's
Jamie
right.
Lee Curtis is here. Like, what?
Big names.
Big names. That's right.
Okay. And I think that Sony thought that they could make a... it's got classic rock music. I think they thought that they could make a...
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. My words escape me. Yes. I think that this is Sony Lionsgate Pictures' attempt at a Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's get a bunch of star-studded casts, let's throw them together in this video game universe. This shit's money. It's a popular video game. A lot of popular people. Throw them together and we have money. And quite frankly, this looks like shit.
The interesting thing is, this is not a Sony movie. This is a Lionsgate
movie
that is produced by Avi Arad, who is a notorious producer for Sony, because it has that little title card in here from the producer of Uncharted, Spider-Man, and Venom.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would anyone put that in there and make that think that that's going to make people excited? Oh, a shitty video game adaptation, movies that Sony didn't even make themselves, and 2 fucking dog shit movies that they did make themselves. Oh, I'm excited now. I guess Sony did make some of their own Spider-Man movies, and you know what? Half of them are dog shit. So, this is Avi Arad who is producing. Who is he was originally involved with Marvel Studios, and then got kind of shit canned from that, and then basically went on to do a bunch of shitty Spider-Man movies, mostly shitty Spider-Man movies and Madam Webs and Morbiuses and stuff. His name is also attached to the Spider-Verses because he's just attached to all this shit over there, but in Venom.
At the end, it says
this is a Lionsgate thing. Yeah.
Don't text Borderlands to 1813. Do you recognize that zip code?
Do you recognize that zip code?
That's my fucking zip code. 1-813 Pandora. That's ridiculous. What is that? We're gonna text it right now live on the podcast.
Oh God.
What is
says
that?
Don't text though. It says don't do it. You're gonna get fucking spam marketing forever now.
181. It's my fucking zip code. I got to do it.
Might be your own phone number.
What I can't remember what Pandora is. PAN.
You need the letters on the numbers still.
Yeah. What the fuck is this? Why do they still do that? I guess it's because it's a Sony thing, or it's not a Sony thing. It's a
it's a mock Sony thing.
It's a mock Sony thing.
We are trying to make this movie with the intent of it being as close to Sony as possible.
Fun and cool because it's my zip code, but I can't spend the energy finding out what Pandora is. It's going to take too long to figure out what Pandora actually turns into number wise. So fuck it.
That's okay. All right. So it's fake Sony / Lionsgate doing a Guardians of the Galaxy with big cast that they're clearly money hatting because otherwise there's no reason they would be in this. All that said, what do you think about this? I mean, you played some Borderlands games. Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
I think it looks like shit. I didn't play a whole lot of Borderlands. Played a little bit. I know enough about what it is, but I know enough to know that this looks like an attempt at Guardians of the Galaxy with Borderlands IP stuff. You know what I mean?
I'm not even sure that this is an attempt at a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque movie. But this trailer is doing its very best to make it seem that way. Like, I will be surprised if the movie itself has that same sort of feel. But like the color, the title cards, the music, and everything is very much just trying to be like, oh, Guardians Volume 3 is popular last year. Let's just do that thing. Like, oh, it's a wacky cast of characters and, and crazy sci-fi costumes. And, it's like...
They must have paid this cast a tremendous amount of money.
I mean, Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis alone. Kevin Hart, too, really.
Kevin Hart commands a lot of money.
Like Jack Black taking a voice role, fine. You know what I mean? Like, he'll take his money and do a goofy voice. Like, that's just kind of what he does. But those others, I'm just like, Kevin Hart does shit, don't get me wrong. But he gets paid.
Some money. He's a hustler.
Yeah, for sure. He's popular. People like him. So, yeah. I don't think this looked as bad as I expected it was going to look. But it doesn't look good. I fully expect it to be terrible. I kind of baffled by. I'm not gonna lie. We are finishing with 3 kind of bangers in a row, at least in my eyes, of what is happening here. And maybe you'll feel the same way about the other 2. I don't know, but I just perplexed. Found myself perplexed with some of these trailers. Look, it's happening, all right. Borderlands is happening. It's coming out sometime later this year. And I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it, I guess, I mean, it's just going to come out and I guess we'll see how it is,
Or we
doesn't
won't.
mean we'll go see it, or we won't. We'll let someone else tell us.
We'll wait till streaming, and
August 9th. August 9th is when it's coming out. So we got a little ways to wait, thankfully, before we have to have the moment where we think, are we doing this? Probably not, right? We don't, we're going to do the Godzilla thing again. Like, is this a thing? Is it? No? Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. And move on to those other 2 trailers. The first of which is, and thematically these are tied together. This is Bill Skarsgård got ripped, and he's doing action movies now. The first one is Boy Kills World, coming to theaters April 26th. Good title. Somewhat stylish trailer, or at least a unique trailer, I would say. Produced by Sam Raimi, which, if we're going to talk about Spider-Man producers and whatever, that inspires a little bit more confidence than Avi Arad. But what about this trailer? Did this do anything for you?
I found the guy's a voice obnoxious. I thought it was kind of slightly annoying. Maybe it gets better if once you dive into the movie. But for a trailer for 2 minutes, I thought it was a little strong.
Jarring, definitely jarring.
I
mean, it's just Archer or Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers. It's just H. John Benjamin doing an H. John Benjamin voice, or I do the voice. I was also in the movie came out recently, I think, where I am a bird or something. I don't know. I feel like he was doing bird voices. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think that this looks like a style. You know, it's the John Wick. It's the Murder Train, or what the fuck's that movie with Brad Pitt?
Bullet Train.
Bullet Train. It's just like the super stylized, cool choreography action movie that we get these. You know, it seems like the decade that we're in. This is the style of super actiony movies that we get. You know, and it's like its own kind of genre of film. Just like super self-aware, super actiony, like I don't know, super stylized movies. I think that this looks. I think it looks fine. I think it looks kind of fun. Kind of reminds me of that Wii game. That there was a Wii game that came out a long time ago where you. It was like a fucking Wii samurai game. I don't know why it reminds me of that, but it does. You know which one I'm talking about?
Samurai. I mean, Red Steel was an early one.
Yeah, I think it was Red Steel. I think that's exactly what it was. It kind of reminds me of Red Steel a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, it looks stylish and definitely unique and interesting. It's just, again, this is for me. The question is, oh my god, are we going to have 2 hours of this narration? Like, I don't think that's going to work.
It's a little strong.
Yeah, it's
been
too
made
much, right?
Deaf and mute, and this is the voice that I gave myself. It's like, I don't know if that's going to work. By the way, I looked it up. H. John Benjamin, who's doing the voice. I thought he's in the Progressive commercial playing animated birds, which I thought was a tie-in with the Migration movie. Okay,
completely unrelated. So that was my mistake. But this, I read. It's interesting. They premiered this at a Toronto International Film Festival, and at the time, Bill Skarsgård did the narration, and people found it very distracting. Apparently at the time, so they've changed it and reconfigured it to now be H. John Benjamin. So I'm like, was Skarsgård doing a weird fucking voice? Like, what was he doing that was bad? Or is it just the fact that it's nonstop? In which case, is it going to be nonstop and more annoying voice now? Like, because that's not going to help. Or is it scaled back? I don't know. That's my biggest concern with this. I think it's got enough flair to it that it could be really fun and zippy and interesting. But if it's going to have fucking annoying narration for 2 hours, that's going to weigh it down in a big way. So,
just depends. Just depends the success.
Yes, we'll see how
the narration
how
is going to dictate how that movie feels. So
yeah, because like the first 30 seconds of this trailer, I'm just like, oh,
that's a little like I thought it was okay for like the first couple seconds, and it's like, oh
yeah,
this keeps
as
going.
soon as it kicks in, you're just like, oh, okay. That's what this is. All right. Well, I'm less enthused now, that's for sure. But hey, April 26th, we'll find out. We'll find out with this one as well. But that brings us to our final trailer, and oh my goodness, did I save a good one to talk about. The Crow. The Crow is back. We are getting a new iteration of The Crow. I feel like they, the 1994 movie The Crow is a really, really good film. Obviously, it's a very tragic film. It's the final film appearance of Brandon Lee, who was very tragically killed on set, in the making of the movie. And since then, they made a bunch of shitty direct-to-DVD, VHS, whatever, sequels, and they've tried rebooting this thing like fucking 20 years in a row. And it's finally happening now. And this is apparently the final product, or at least the trailer for the final product. Bill Skarsgård, again, ripped. Got some horrendous fucking hair going on in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, modern reimagining of The Crow. So what do you think? What do you think? Is this, what do you think? What do you think about this? Let me just kick it to you.
I remember the original Crow being good.
Yeah, it is.
Now
I can exclusively confirm that.
Original
even if you haven't seen it in a while, it's still very good. It holds up.
It does hold up. You've seen it recently?
Yeah. Within the probably past few years,
okay,
I've seen it.
Okay. I haven't seen it for a very long time, but when I did watch it, I remember it being. It was one of those like monumental growing up movies. It's like holy shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since then, so I don't know how it holds up. If it's anything like this trailer, though, I would say it does not hold up. It's like
Well, let me assuage your concerns. This Crow is very much not what the 1994 Crow is.
Oh, it's not? Okay. Well, that's good.
This is definitely something different. It's doing something very, very different with it, and one could argue something bad. Because,
I was not impressed with this. If this is what I remember being good, then what I remember being good is definitely not good. It's very bad. So I was kind of I'm glad to hear you say that the original was good and this is probably bad, because it's been a long time since I've seen the original, and like I said, if this is anything like the original, I'm ashamed for saying that I liked it. So.
Well, to I think somewhat borrow a quote from a comment I saw on Reddit maybe, or even YouTube, I don't remember. It's basically your least favorite person now has a new favorite movie, and that's what this movie is. This movie fits that bill of just looks fucking insufferable, and you know that someone is just gonna talk about how great it is. It's just
it's the Joker.
It's Joker.
It's Venom.
And honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I think I might take Joker 2 over this movie, to be quite honest. At least I know that, that those two, that Jaquan and Lady Gaga, will give me something interesting. And this, like, Bill Skarsgård's a good actor, don't get me wrong. But man, this just looks like edgy bullshit, man. Like, I don't know. It looks
like Venom. It looks like...
Yeah, is this produced by Avi Arad as well? It might be. It wouldn't surprise me.
Is it really?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it actually is. But it does. Lionsgate can apparently do John Wick movies and then just trash. It maybe seems to be the through line. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. This it just looks bad. There's maybe there's not much else to add, but and I haven't seen the movie. I can't say that the movie itself is bad, but I can certainly say this trailer made me want to stay as far away as possible from this movie. And I haven't encountered a trailer so off-putting in quite some time. I think usually it's like, all right, it looks bad, I'll skip it, but this is like visceral of. Oh no! What is this shit? What the fuck is this? That's this. That's The Crow.
Good.
2024, The Crow.
It's funny how we landed the same camp. Check
out the 1994. If it needs to be a palate cleanser or whatever the case may be, that's the way to do it. But yeah, June 7th, 2024, we're going to be graced with The Crow. So what happened? This has taken the date of another Lionsgate movie that has been pushed to 2025. So originally that release date was held by Ballerina, which is the John Wick spinoff. Correct, the Ana de Armas one. That's been pushed to 2025. So we were getting the real double whammy of no Ana de Armas, in just a couple months time. And now we get The Crow. We get The Crow in its place.
Okay, I'll take a.
But like you said, maybe from what it sounds like, Ballerina, they're bringing in John Wick director Chad Stahelski to shoot additional action sequences. So it sounds like what we said is if you need to take more time to get things right, that sounds like that's what they're doing with Ballerina. They're not just shelving it for a while because they feel like it. They want to do a little bit more with it, get it into better shape before they do release it. And apparently The Crow was just ready to go. So yeah.
I bet it was ready to go. I bet it was. It looks like it was ready to go.
Yeah, it's been sitting in the WB vault for 10 years, and they're just like, if we keep it in storage for 10 years, our tax write-off doesn't get undone, so we can put this out now and no one, and sell it.
It's kind of the vibes I got. It looks like giant horse shit.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good.
No good.
All right. Well, that does it for the trailers. That's the headlines. That's the news. We are all caught up on that part, and we've got a little bit more to catch up on overall, but that will come later, because now it is time for us to move on and talk about the 96th Academy Awards. Are you ready?
I've never been more ready.
All right. Well, you may be ready and I may be ready, but we got to go see.
But Ana de Armas is not ready.
Well, yes, or Anna Mattis. She's, you could call her that as well. We got to go see.
Mattis.
We got to go see if her plane has landed. We got to go fetch her from the runway and bring in our fellow co-hosts to talk about the Academy Awards.
Can you hear me?
I think I hear a plane landing, and yep, straight from the runway. We're bringing her in. It's Anna Mattis.
Who decided to do this bit?
It's a very, very funny bit.
It's
And
not at all.
and hopefully our listeners didn't forget about it from over an hour ago. But you've arrived. You've arrived to talk about the Academy Awards.
Okay, some insider secrets here, everybody. I've been here the whole time, listening in and producing. I'd like a credit, please, at the end when you do all your stuff really fast and talk
All right.
about Kevin McLeod.
He's a great guy, but we can include you there too. That's for sure.
Thank you so much.
So where do we want to begin? Should we start with some snubs? Should we talk about how we about how we prepared?
Before we talk about who won the awards, let's talk about who didn't even get a chance.
Ooh.
All right.
Snubs.
I feel like I think these conversations kind of intertwine because I feel like we didn't watch a lot of movies that were snubbed. Like I feel like there were a lot of movies that were on our list, and then we're like, well, they didn't get nominated, so I guess they'll just have to take
Right.
But they'll play second fiddle, I guess, to the ones that we really do need to watch for the ceremony.
But there are some that I feel fairly confident that are snubbed, and also some acting ones that we did.
That's
see.
true, of films that were nominated. I mean, I think we talked about it. I think even when the nominations came down, like the Barbie snubs, I think were a big topic of conversation.
Yeah,
of
and I didn't. Those
Greta
didn't bother
Gerwig
me
not
that
being
much.
nominated for director, Margot Robbie not being nominated for best actress, but it was nominated in other respects, obviously.
Correct.
So
and they were nominated because they were
Right.
both
Yeah,
nominated
that's true.
as producers, so it wasn't like they were totally snubbed.
and I think Greta was nominated for writing.
Oh yeah, she was. You're right. You're right. Adapted.
Silly.
Fucking dumb as shit.
Adapted from a
Definitely talked
fucking
about that.
Barbie? What? Yeah, we did talk about
Adapted
that.
from a
didn't we?
cardboard box. That's
So
right.
Stupid.
Anyway, yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
So
I don't.
what about some other things? Yeah.
Well, I will comment on the Barbie thing really quick. Just that I do think Margot was great, but I also think this was a super, super strong year
Stacked
for that
category. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was talking shit about Annette Bening. I was talking shit. I before I watched Naiad, and I take it back. I think that category is. I don't think there's anyone in that category that I'm like mad about. It was a very strong category. It would have been really tough.
I feel like that's something we talked about a little bit as well, is it didn't feel like there were a lot of like actors or movies even that were included. They were just like, how the fuck did this get nominated? Like, I mean, there are some that are like kind of, but not to the egregious level of
That it has
a Jamie Lee Curtis being nominated for Everything Everywhere, winning for Everything Everywhere. It was just silly, you know, like there was nothing quite as egregious as that. So obviously, while there probably were snubs, I don't feel like a lot of it as we looked at it was like, we kind of get why these were nominated,
Also,
you know, the way they were.
Quick note about fuck Jamie Lee Curtis. She came, she presented, and then she fucking left early, and it was her done like, oh, I can't stay up there, and I wanted to be like, it's 3 hours fucking earlier there. Number one, you're an idiot. Fix your sleep schedule. If I have to fix my sleep schedule to be up at 9, like to be at work by 9 a.m., you can adjust your sleep schedule to stay out until 8 p.m. It doesn't go late there. It goes till 8 p.m. or 8:30. Like, it doesn't go late there. No, 7:30 this year. See, because it was earlier this year. Yeah.
It was earlier.
Right? 7:30, 8:30. I can't remember.
I think it started at seven. Yeah, I think it started an hour
Yeah, it was
earlier.
3.5,
It was
yeah, so
programmed to
10:30,
run
so
a half
they're
hour later,
7,
but that didn't actually really.
7:30. Yeah. So just so fucking rude of her to leave early. Just so disrespectful. She's not cool. She's not like unique and quirky. She's just fucking annoying.
She's
And
also
she
in
shouldn't have
Borderlands, so you know, enough said. You know what I mean? So
won. She peaked with Freaky Friday.
Ooh.
I mean, really though, I think that's actually
Hot
pretty
tea.
accurate. Well, what has she done that's great after Freaky Friday? I think she peaked at
Halloween
Freaky Friday.
Returns or whatever.
Yeah, but
Return
that
of the
wasn't
Halloween.
peak. That was still
yeah, that
on the
was-
way
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Anyway, other snubs that were notable, but like that we can't necessarily comment on because we didn't see them. Iron Claw
Yeah.
being nominated for a bunch of stuff. Zac Efron, Saltburn, which
Saltburn. Yeah,
You guys never watched Saltburn?
we still haven't seen it
We still
yet.
haven't seen
No, we
it. I
haven't.
know it's a
Drinks the
problem.
bathtub water? You haven't seen that?
We know things. We know things about Saltburn, but we haven't
We
seen
know
things.
things about the grave. We know things about the bathtub.
Yeah, the grave. That was another one.
But and then All of Us Strangers. I've known I'm gonna love that movie. I know that movie's gonna wreck me. I've heard such good things, but I've heard that it's like basically like a little too fantasy, a little too weird, a little too queer for like mainstream audiences to, you know, truly
movie is this?
appreciate. All of Us Strangers. It's Claire Foy, Jamie Bell, Andrew Scott, and
Andrew Scott,
Paul Mescal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is how you say his name. Which I learned, I think, from Chicken Shop Girl, actually, who we will talk about in a minute. I think for me, the more egregious snubs are like the ones I can actually speak to, which is like within categories. I think, we talked about how actress in a leading role, I felt really good about those. I think actor in a leading role, I did feel good about those. I think the only one that for me was borderline was Bradley Cooper, because I think he had some moments that he was really good, but his overall performance was not good, in my opinion, in Maestro. Actress in a supporting role, absolutely fucking stacked. Just a fantastic category all around. I found the actor in a supporting role.
Yeah, you're right. This is probably
extremely weak category.
This is one where I think we had some disagreements on who should have at least been nominated in the first place.
And I do think that Downey, De Niro, and Ryan Gosling all deserve to be nominated. I thought De Niro was spectacular in Killers. He was really fucking good in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, he was.
Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. was excellent in Oppenheimer, and Ryan Gosling was awesome. He was so good in Barbie. Like that's fine. I love Sterling K. Brown, and he was his usual good self in American Fiction, but he wasn't great. That wasn't an Oscar-worthy performance.
You don't think so? I don't
I
know.
might find some disagreement on the other side of the aisle here. I think that might have been Andrew's pick.
I think he had better acting
when we did our awards.
I think he had better acting in This Is Us and in the People versus O.J. Simpson. This doesn't even come close to those two roles. Have you guys seen those?
I've seen This Is Us for sure.
Yeah, and he's incredible. Like the way
he's very good in
Panic
those.
Attack is fucking fantastic. Like he's so.
I think
good.
this was
It's
a
so
transformative role for him. I feel like
I don't.
Well,
I don't. I feel like it was kind of more of the same. And the more of the same is he's steady, he's reliable, he's great.
He delivers for sure.
But I didn't think this was like an amazing role for him. I didn't.
Who did you give the pick to? Who's your pick?
I wanted Ryan Gosling to win, but I predicted that Downey would win. And I was fine with that.
Well, I think
but
more
the bigger
to
issue
this
is
conversation
the people
is
who
we
didn't
probably
get
would have
nominated.
replaced. I think we had our own internal conversation of
I also
who should have slotted in instead.
I thought Mark Ruffalo was fucking terrible in Poor Things.
Oh, I never watched Poor Things.
I love Mark Ruffalo. I didn't think he was good. I thought he was annoying. I think he had moments that were good, but overall, again,
Like he was just over the top for his role. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. And we talked about this, that like a subtle stoic performance is a lot harder to like portray and elicit a response from your audience than if you're just being like weird and crazy and over the top.
Zany.
I don't think I don't think it shows a technical skill necessarily. I think it's just generally easier. And I just don't think that in a year that also had Dominic Sessa, who in his first fucking role was absolutely incredible.
The Holdovers?
The Holdovers.
Yeah.
He was amazing. I thought Charles Melton was incredible in May, December. I mean, he had this one scene, the rooftop scene.
Which one was
better
that
than
one?
every single, like all of Mark Ruffalo and Sterling K. Brown scenes put together. Which one was what?
What was that scene you're referring to from May, December?
When he's on the roof talking to his son.
Oh, when they're smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Just a beautiful scene, a beautiful conversation. I thought he was so good. I just thought he was great. And also oh shit, what's his name? Oh, Swan Arlode.
Yeah. Anatomy of a
from
Fall.
Anatomy of a Fall, who played the lawyer friend. I thought he was
he was
amazing.
fucking good.
And I thought all three of those performances were better than Mark Ruffalo and Sterling K. Brown, and I think they rivaled the other three. And I think that would have felt more, like more of a stacked category. And honestly, even in that mix, like I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. wins. Like I don't know if he earns that win.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't my personal pick when Andrew and I did our year-end Reno awards. So yeah,
I thought
Sterling K. Brown was his pick. To be fair, though, so yeah, Sterling
K. Brown, I think in that role. I mean, if I'm going to defend my pick right here, right now, I think it was nuanced. Like much of his characters are, to be fair. I mean, he's consistent. The actor is very consistent in his portrayal in his roles, but, I think it was nuanced. I think that he was dynamic in the sense that he could portray a flamboyant character at the same time, portray an emotionally centered character. He's not zany for the fact of being zany. I think he felt like a realized person. And I think he did it very well. And I think he did a very good job of portraying somebody that is in the middle of, almost like
crisis.
Yeah, almost like a midlife crisis.
Those are the things that I found like unimpressive about it. Like him being nuanced, like he always does that. The character being like a normal character, like that should be the bare minimum that we ask for from writers and directors and actors. Like obviously, like I mean, like I just said, there's more to kind of a subtlety. But I actually don't think this character was subtle at all. I think he was there in a lot of ways to provide the exposition, I mean, I think that he was, I think probably the most impressive thing about this performance is that he's not particularly likable. And to make Sterling K. Brown not particularly likable is a feat because he's awesome. Like, he's just a cool guy.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a self-centered kind of character. At the same time, he's a character that's kind of like, addressing his own shit, like he's coming out, like he just came out, right? Like if I remember right in the movie, he had just come out.
Well, he was outed by his affair, but
he was outed by his affair, right? Or whatever, like he's very much in his moment during this giant transition with the family. And I don't know. I found his character very like all the shit's going on in his family, and I just found it to be a true character, which may be more of a reflection on the writing and the content that the character was given. But I thought he really delivered on the execution of the characterization. So that's what I say about.
And again, I think in a vacuum, I mean, a good performance from him. It wasn't bad.
Wasn't anything groundbreaking.
Correct. And
right.
I look at it in three different ways. One is amongst his performances, was this groundbreaking? Was this incredible? Was this different? No, he's always good, but it was more of what he always is. That's number one. Number two is within that movie, and I mean, we talked about this with Jamie Lee Curtis, like she wasn't even the second best supporting actress, like that kind of thing. I don't even know that Sterling K. Brown was the best supporting actor in that movie. I don't know if he was. I think there's an argument to be made that he wasn't. And then I think just looking at him compared to these other performances, and to be fair, I'd put him above Mark Ruffalo any day.
I didn't see Mark Ruffalo. I did see the lawyer in
in Anatomy of a Fall.
Anatomy of a Fall, and that guy was very nuanced, and he was a captivating role for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think Charles Melton just brought, like, especially because he's in some ways portraying a real person who's always been, defined by his victimhood, and who's always been, seen as this like 12-year-old boy, and instead, he's this fully, kind of fleshed out adult who still has those childlike tendencies because his development was stunted. And I just think that...
Who is this? Oh, we're talking about May December?
Yeah. And I just think that's a really tough thing to do, to have that balance of having like a childlike innocence and wonder and also this like... Wow, I just had the realization that like Charles Melton does what Emma Stone was trying to do as Bella Baxter. it's the better representation in the same way that we compared it in other ways. But it just, he has that childlike aspect, but he's an adult. He still has agency and he stands up for himself. And we get to see him both as a, 30-something-year-old figuring out what the rest of his life looks like, talking to his friend on the internet with his butterflies. But he's also seeing the last of his kids go off to college. He's also an empty nester, even though he's like supposed to be like, what, 35, 36?
Yeah, if that.
Like,
Totally.
It's just a really, and I think he, I've only seen him in roles where he plays high schoolers. So
that was what I was going to say is
to see him in such a different role.
I think when you think about Sterling K. Brown, you think someone who has a really good resume, who delivers great performances. You think about Charles Melton, and you think Riverdale.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. You're just like, where the fuck did this performance come from? Because I've never seen it out of this guy. Dominic Sessa, you can certainly say that for, because you'd never seen him in the first place. So I think that was something I think that we talked about, probably things that I talked about as well on our year in review episode, is, out of nowhere sort of things for these people you don't expect it from. Sterling K. Brown, and I didn't push back when Andrew picked him, because I'm like, you know what? It is a good performance. I'm not mad about it. I don't think it's undeserving of being nominated. But if we're talking about my personal picks for actor in a supporting role, Sterling K. Brown and probably Mark Ruffalo, who I think I enjoyed more than you did. I would still bump both of them out in favor of those two that we've named, right off the bat.
Those two or those three? See, that's the problem.
All
too,
three,
I
all
think
three,
there's
three. But I don't know who I would bump out to make
correct.
room. So that would take it up to 6 from 5 or whatever. So anyway,
I think that probably does it for Snubs.
Yeah,
yes?
I think just other movies that we definitely haven't seen that I've seen thrown out. Priscilla's, some acting and stuff. Maybe didn't watch it. I'm good on Elvis stuff for a little while. I think. Asteroid City. I think Wes Anderson got some recognition elsewhere, but Asteroid City was kind of nowhere to be seen. I think Andrew watched at least part of it.
I went to
on one of our recent episodes.
I fell asleep.
I feel like that was kind of honestly. I feel like that was the kind of the vibe. It was like, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think it's just more Wes Anderson stuff. I think that it certainly could have been nominated.
Didn't
for
set my world
things,
on fire
potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there was one more that stood out, but I mean, there's other movies that I'm sure were probably pretty good that probably could have been nominated for something here or there.
I know. Wait, I know what you're gonna say. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I didn't watch Turtles, so I don't actually know.
Yeah, but I feel like that was a snub we heard
I did.
about.
That's true. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, there was. Yeah. I mean, it could have been nominated for animated feature. It was not nominated, but it
I find it very inconceivable that Turtles would have run against.
I don't think Turtles would have won. I think it's a question of should it have been nominated.
Should it have been nominated? I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Air, that was another one. Blackberry, like things that were kind of just like.
Oh, I do want to watch Blackberry.
Kind of like things that I'm interested in that I think we probably would like and maybe would have good performances, good things to to recognize from them. But like
should have been nominated for cinematography.
Just kind of on the outside looking in. So
I know there was one in cinematography that I'd like never even heard of.
What was it?
Yeah, El Conde.
Yeah, Andrew knows a thing or two about that.
Oh, did you watch it?
I feel like I did watch El Conde. What is El Conde?
That's the it's the Pinochet vampire movie.
Yeah, I did watch El Conde.
Did
that win? Did that win?
No,
it was nominated, didn't win, and obviously
what won cinematography?
No, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Spoilers.
Oh, okay. El Conde. El Conde was my
over a week
personal
ago or
pick
whatever.
for cinematography. But in hindsight,
interesting.
Beyond our episode, once we recorded,
You're
to retroactively change things.
I think Sisu.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think Sisu may have been my pick.
Okay.
For cinematography,
You're entitled to do that.
I think
we make the rules.
Yeah. So I kind of retro my pick from El Conde to Sisu. It's a tight pick because both are very stylistic. But Sisu was in color, and Sisu you can put on the wall, I think. So that's why I picked Sisu. Anyways, where are we at here? We're ready to talk about fashion on this red web because I've had Vogue up on my computer now for 2 hours and looking at these dresses and these suits.
I guess just before we get to the
we got some fashion to talk about. We make the rules. It's what I just said. So we're gonna do whatever we want. We can talk some fashion. Talk the looks. Talk the red carpet.
So I sent the boys.
The boys. That's us. That's Andrew and I.
That's the two of you.
These are your favorite looks. Is that
yes,
like what are we looking at?
So
all right.
I'm not.
And you're going to guide us through this. Guide the listeners.
Yeah, I'll tell you my top 2 at the end, but I'm just going to run through my top 9.
Okay.
So my top 9 were Lily Gladstone, who like just beautifully like coordinated her jewelry and her dress and the design, and I thought her hair looked beautiful and the dress was like perfect for her, and it was, a way to display, native creatives who had, created this jewelry and the design on her dress, and I just thought it was beautiful and beautiful on her. America Ferrera I loved because I thought it was totally appropriate for the night. And totally appropriate for the movie that she was
Very
on.
Barbie.
I loved her hair. I love her hair at that length. I think it's so cute. I thought her jewels were good as well. I also saw someone pointing out that for both Oscars and Vanity Fair, Margot Robbie was not wearing pink. She was really kind of toned down. And people were saying, like, during the Barbie press tour and red carpets and stuff, America didn't wear a lot of pink. She kind of wore more black and muted, and it was like kind of a thing, like Barbie and the real. And it was like people saw it as like a clear Margot saying, "This is America's night. Like this is her night. The focus is her.
America, the person, not
yes,
the country."
Correct. Yes.
America.
But it made me love it even more. I thought it looked so good. Sandra Hüller. Hüller? How do you actually say it? Hüller?
Hüller? I don't know.
Anyway,
I feel like I knew how to say it, and then when we did our year in review episode, like they said it differently on the Oscars telecast, and I'm like, well, I was wrong.
I thought she looked great. I thought she looked so striking. The eye makeup, the sleeves were just it worked because the dress was simple, and I just thought it was really cool and just beautiful and beautifully constructed, and I just thought she looked great.
Yeah, I think this might have been like the coolest dress for me.
It was very cool.
Yeah, it's just the design. It feels unlike anything I've ever seen before, but it is kind of simple, sleek, and elegant too. Yeah, good.
Next up is Michelle Yeoh, who
of course
obviously always looks incredible.
Her sleeves, I like those sleeves.
I thought the gloves were really cool. I loved the like two-tone silver. I loved the cape and the way it draped over her shoulder, and I thought the shoes looked great too. I just thought she looked beautiful, and I thought it was kind of fun that after like the year where she won the gold, she wore the silver.
Yeah.
And she just looked beautiful. I loved that dress. Haley Steinfeld, who at first I was like, why is she there? And I mean, she was in an Oscar nominated film, and also like she was nominated for an Oscar. So like, back in the day, I feel like you get a lifetime invite then. But again, like I didn't even expect to see her on the red carpet, and I didn't recognize her at first either. But I just thought she looked beautiful. I loved the like gauntlet things that were part of the dress and how they draped to the back. And I just thought it was a really beautiful dress and a really pretty color on her. It was just a very cool dress, in my opinion. Becky G, another one that I was like, why the fuck are you here? And found out later it was to perform that terrible Diane Warren Hot Ones Cheetos song or whatever.
Hot.
Really bad song. I don't know who Diane Warren has blackmail on, but like enough. But I thought Becky G looked great. I thought this dress was even was better than the one she wore on stage. I thought she looked really good. Davine, of course. Yeah. This blue, she was giving the Cinderella vibes, and yet like the fluffy sleeves were so good. It looked so good on her. I love the color.
That looks like a Louis Vuitton dress.
It just looks like a fun dress to wear. Like, it seems like one that would be really comfortable. Sometimes people wear dresses where they're like falling out and they don't seem comfortable.
How do I sit in this?
How do I sit in this? Yes. Do you see Florence Pugh in like the limo? She had to like lie down. She couldn't sit up. And then like others, even like Emma Stone's dress, it just felt like it was too long and she couldn't comfortably walk in it. And I thought Davine
also broke at some point. Well, if we're talking about the Oscars, it broke.
Sure.
I don't know if it broke because it was long, but it
broke
break at some point.
Couldn't sit in it.
Yeah.
But I just thought Davine looked like beautiful and classy and comfortable. And that's like everything. Danielle Brooks, I just, this isn't like the normal look that I go for, but I just thought it was so well constructed. It looked so good on her body. And I thought her hair and her makeup and her jewels were just stunning, and her nails. And I just loved that she brought out those silver accents of the dress. I still don't know how I feel about the cummerbund thing. That's probably my least favorite part of it, but I just thought that bodice and all of the details was so good. I just thought she looked great. And then the last one is, I can't remember her name. I have to look up her name.
Amelia.
She's a chicken shop girl. She does the chicken shop.
De Moldenberg?
The chicken shop.
You look it up and confirm.
I'm looking up chicken shop girl. Oh, I feel so bad. But you know what? People on the red carpet see her and they're like, oh, you're the chicken shop girl.
De Moldenberg. I think I'm right.
De Moldenberg? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, she's so funny. And I also just thought she looked beautiful. I loved this dress. I thought the like kind of side openings was so cool. I thought it looked great on her. It was so smooth. It was so sleek, so well constructed. Very simple hair, jewelry, makeup, but I just thought she looked really good. And I think it was also appropriate for, like, she was there to interview people, and yet she kind of stole the red carpet. I thought she looked great. I think I keep going back and forth on my top favorites. I think after that night, I was very much in the Michelle Yeoh. I think now I might be in the Sandra and Davine. Every time I look at Davines, I love it even more. But so maybe those are my top three.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you have a favorite? Yeah, of the evening.
I think my favorite of the evening. I've been kind of scrolling through here. The very last one, I think. Let me scroll all the way down. I'm on the Vogue website.
Okay.
Nazrin Choudhury. She's got a very awesome, like, Indian dress, kind of, you know? She's kind of got like this cape kind of deal, but she's got this coordinated purse or this clutch. I really think someone that really stole it for me, though, is going to be G. What's her name? Stacy G.
Becky G.
Becky G. Becky G really stole it for me.
All right. Okay.
Becky G's got a good look. And I would say if I was going to reduce it down to a top three, it'd be, I think Becky. It's not Becky G. You said her name again.
Yes.
It is Becky G.
Becky G. Okay, so Becky G, number one. America Ferrera, number two. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Number three being that one that I just listed. I hate to reduce her to that one that the one at the
you don't
first,
want to attempt the name again.
The one that I just listed.
Chowdhury.
Yes. Not to reduce her to that.
Her
but
dress, but I like her dress, but I think her hair and makeup is bad.
I think
it takes away from it for me.
I think that I just think all her accessories and her dress is very cool. America Ferrera, that dress is awesome. And then Becky G's got it going on. So, I will say though, I think, William Dafoe has a pretty incredible suit according to this Vogue list I've got here. I would say I would give it to William Dafoe for the suit. And then I would say that Dominique Sessa in that Tom Ford suit kind of looks better than Cillian Murphy in his Versace suit.
It's hard to go wrong with a Tom Ford suit, though, you know.
I didn't love Cillian's suit. I wish that man would wear blue.
Oh,
just once. I wish he would wear blue to bring out his eyes. I just think it would look so good.
Yeah. Cillian Murphy kind of like he kind of looks nonchalant in his pose with Vogue. And
he always kind of like slumps a little.
Dominic Sessa kind of looks like he's kind of like trying to like own his suit a little bit, you know. But I mean, the Tom Ford suit kind of like suits him. Looks good.
Didn't he wear wear sunglasses though. I think the sun.
I never saw sunglasses. I don't see sunglasses in this picture.
Might have shed them at some point potentially. Yeah.
That would be good.
I will say Coleman Dominigo, though, in his Louis Vuitton suit,
Domingo.
looks fucking aces. You see this man? He's got
He's always
he's got like a double vested suit with these like big extravagant buttons and his like bow tie with a big thing.
Yeah,
big
no,
thing.
he looks good.
Yeah, looks fucking aces.
He
also has these cowboy boots with these like gold plated toes.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I was just disappointed with Ryan Gosling. I wanted more from him, and obviously, like he changed for the number.
He did,
but he usually looks like. I mean, he looked good, obviously, but I just feel like he usually gets a little more creative, and he really didn't this time.
You know who looks fucking
Anyway,
good?
we got to move on from fashion.
I just had to say one thing.
Rambling. No,
you got one more thing. All right,
I
one
got
more.
my top 9 and my top 3
all right,
ready.
I'm gonna intervene. I'm gonna say I'm gonna allow one more
You got
thing, and
10
then we'll move
seconds.
on.
Is Thor and whoever he's with, they look good.
Oh, I thought she looked terrible. I thought she looked extremely tacky and tacky.
Pataki? She
And
looks pataki?
I love her, but I thought she looked.
I can't find the fucking
I thought
picture
it was-
on demand.
She looked like she was dressed for like the VMAs instead of the fucking Oscars.
Yeah, they're just good looking people. Maybe that's what I mean.
Yes, but that
Well,
doesn't
that's
mean their
true.
fashion is good.
I don't know about their fashion, but they're just
Yeah,
good looking
that's what
people.
Okay, like if we're talking about
You can
pretty
get away with a
people-
lot if you're really good looking. You can get away with bad fashion. People will still think, man, those are some attractive people.
Correct. Yeah, you can wear something super ugly and it'll be fine.
All right. Well, maybe we should move on then. Maybe we should. And indeed we will. All right. So we are going to kind of get into things a little bit more. So I guess the first thing I want to... Andrew, did you watch the Oscars? Did you?
No.
No, wait, before you... Did you watch... What
Well,
films did you
I wanted to start with,
Oh.
did you watch the Oscars at all? Or have you seen like anything like after the fact? I mean, obviously you've probably seen some of the winners and stuff, and certainly we'll get to it, but I didn't know if you watched the show itself.
No, I
too.
did not watch the show itself.
Okay.
Even knowing we were doing this episode?
Even knowing
He's got us. He's relying on us. You know,
I've got
to carry things
opinions.
forward.
I knew that you guys would watch it. I did not watch this. I knew full well the Oscars were going on. I think
Last year you tuned in and the Cocaine Bear was on stage, and you're just like, okay, all right. That was like your
this
5
year,
minutes of Oscars.
I tuned in and John Cena was naked.
There you go. Yeah, that was a memorable moment. Yeah. Okay.
And then I watched that
very
quick
funny,
segment,
actually. That
and
was
then I
quite good.
and then I boomed out. So,
Okay.
um,
All right. Gotcha. Well, the reason I asked that is because, we know that it's coming up on the Sunday night. So we spent our whole weekend like cramming as many movies in as possible, like all the Best Picture nominees. I think we ended up watching all the films represented by the...
I will tell you.
Okay.
We watched all of the films in Best Picture, Director, all 4 acting categories, both screenplay categories. We technically saw all the original score, kind of by accident, and editing
Okay.
and sound.
Okay.
Sound. We saw all of those, every film in those categories.
Right. And so we spent the weekend
Watching
leading
6
up
of them.
watching the ones that we hadn't seen yet. So we didn't rewatch anything that we had already seen earlier in the year, but it was like trying to fit in as many movies as we possibly could. So some of them I would have talked about the end of our last episode a little bit. Obviously Anna wasn't there to talk about it, but I don't know how much I said. It was towards the end of our long Dune coverage. I think I was either trying to get through it quickly, or I knew maybe we would be probably talking about them in some capacity on this episode anyway. So yeah, we went through a lot. We spent a lot of time. So I guess, yeah, Andrew, that's what we did, and I'm not trying to put anything on you. It's already the past is the past at
Look
this point.
his face.
But did you watch anything else? Like, or
prepare
have
at
you
all?
been doing other things? Like you did your year in review. You've done your time. You're good. I'm just curious if you've seen anything else like Oscars adjacent.
I watched
related.
The Holdovers. I watched
Right.
Anatomy of
What
a
best
Fall.
picture? What best picture? Okay, so
Yeah, I guess
you
we could run down
You
the
saw
list.
American Fiction.
Yep, saw that.
You saw Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah,
You saw Barbie.
yeah,
You saw The Holdovers.
Yeah.
Did you watch Killers of the Flower Moon?
I did.
Yeah, we covered it. Yep.
Did you watch Maestro?
No,
It's on Netflix. All right.
That's okay. You don't have to watch it.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. It's not very good.
You see Oppenheimer? Did you see that movie?
I didn't watch that. Yes.
You watch Past Lives, right? Or
No.
I hadn't seen it. Yeah, that's one you should
Oh,
definitely.
you should definitely watch Past
that.
Lives. It's
That's
so
the Korean movie or
Yes.
No, well, sort
Well,
of.
yeah,
It's like half in English.
it is. Yes.
But that's the one where the people grew up together and then they grew apart and then they grew up together, right? Or like they
She moves to New York and she's in New York while he's still in Seoul. Yeah. Poor Things you did not see.
Right. We've established that.
Nope.
Well, I have feelings about it. We'll talk about it later. Did you see The Zone of Interest?
No, I wanted to watch that one.
I think
That
that's
one was
coming
good,
to
too.
streaming.
I did want to watch
soon.
the Emma Stone movie too. I did want to watch that.
Yeah,
I just
Poor
never
Things.
did.
That's Poor Things.
Looked like
Also streaming.
looked like a lot of sex.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very voyeuristic and fucked up way of looking at women, in my opinion. Entire film.
Interesting. I'd like to watch that.
It is very much a film that obviously, like, this isn't like a rule that applies to everything, but it seems to be men generally view the movie very differently from women.
Really? See, that'd be cool to have an opinion on that. And I don't have an opinion. So
As long as you're
Streaming on Hulu or Disney Plus.
Disney. I'm gonna go to Disney to watch.
Oh my god. All right. Do we want to go through some of these?
Yeah. I mean,
would like to
I think the only thing before we get into the awards is, do we want to talk about anything like within the show itself before we
like
start
how the
getting into
show
the
was?
awards? Yeah.
Sure.
Do you want to talk about that a little
I guess
bit?
just highlights. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling presented an award together, and their banter, like their Barbenheimer
little Fall Guy tease.
It was so good. It like almost made me want to watch that movie. Almost. I probably
Fall
still
Guy?
wanna watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had so much chemistry. They were so funny. The writing was really good. One of the writers, because like one of the Kimmel writers, I like listened to a podcast that he's on, and he's very funny. And it was actually wild. Like there were certain jokes in the show that I was like, oh, he definitely wrote the Gerard Depardieu one. I was like, he definitely wrote that one. Like, and then he revealed on his podcast next week, he's like, oh yeah, no, we're not really taking credit for stuff, but like, yeah, I wrote that one. Like, I thought the John Cena bit was actually pretty good.
That was good.
I thought it was funny.
like
I
that.
also thought it was really funny reading articles afterwards of all the things they had to do to be allowed to do that.
to make sure that nothing was showing, I guess. Yeah.
I heard that was a
You had to be Ken doll-like in appearance.
Yes.
I heard that was a God damn it. That was a
tribute to the streaker of many years prior.
no. That
saw
was
something
a,
that, like,
what's
I
that
guess
secret
the-
society? The Illuminati. It was an Illuminati
Oh, okay.
shame
This is another psyop or
thing.
something, maybe.
Yes, it was an Illuminati shame thing that he had to do in order to
Get off
enter the
Facebook,
Illuminati.
my dude. Get off Facebook.
That was me. I'm not on Facebook. I don't have that shit. People tell me
No,
that.
that's just
Stop
people at the
talking-
car
stop
lot.
talking
That was
to people
just
that spend
customers
time.
at the car lot telling him the
I
latest.
delete-
That's how he gets his
God.
news.
Terrible. Just unbelievable.
Monday after. Did you watch the Oscars? Yeah, that John Cena. Did you see what he did for his initiation?
That's
His
exactly
initiation
what it
into
was. It was an initiation. That was the words I was looking for. It was an initiation.
Do you just like feel yourself losing brain cells when they speak to you?
I laugh. I laugh.
That's good. Give you some serotonin or dopamine or whatever the fuck that releases.
I saw something that it might have been a subtle tribute to the costume designers who are maybe going to strike or something, because there's something to the like You're Naked Without Us, I think, is something like what their like kind of messaging is,
he
something
did-
like that.
Yeah, and I did think it was nice when they like brought
Because it was
out
for
the-
best costume design.
When I
think,
saw
would be-
him naked,
award.
because I turned it on for like 3 minutes, and he was
You
naked.
always turn
and he
it on
was
at the
there.
most opportune times.
Yeah, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh my god, there's the toenail. And he's fucking naked."
Oh my god.
Anna's loving this, and then that's
Were you?
and then I got
I think we were laughing. It was pretty funny.
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was well done. Well, I think it was because if you see it from the beginning, he like pokes his head out and he's like, Jimmy, I don't really want to do this. And then he just fully fucking goes out. And I was like, oh, I don't think I thought it was just going to be the behind the wall bit, but they really committed to it, which I liked. I enjoyed.
They did. I will say just like two bad things about it. I will say the worst.
Yeah.
The worst. I think, well, I think one that didn't, I don't know if I realized it as much in the time, but afterwards, like people were pointing out RDJ's like weird thing where he ignored.
Yeah, that was fucked up. He was kind of like a dick.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I know he was like in a moment, and I know he was like reaching toward his friend, and I think it probably is overwhelming when there's 5 people up there to give you an award instead of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I also thought you've been in this business long enough. You have been, a part of Hollywood long enough that you should know how to be polite and look at the person who's handing you a fucking Oscar, because in this category, if they're handing it to you, it's because they fucking won it last year. So like, I just, it was annoying.
He came off like Iron Man in that situation, I think. I don't think that's like beyond the...
Right, but I thought here it was disappointing, particularly because I thought Colton and I had talked about how this role was showing that like he's more than Tony Stark, he's more than Iron Man, and then he does this, and it's like, well, maybe he's not. Oh, I'm sorry. We can talk about it, I guess, later. We'll talk about it more later, but Al Pacino. That's why we'll talk about Al Pacino.
Yeah.
But I think the truly
there.
worst thing about this production was the in memoriam.
Without a doubt.
And the in memoriam is always not great. They forget people.
Right. Every year they miss someone.
There's always like something slightly off about it,
Yeah.
and you say, "Oh, but other than that, it was good." Holy shit, was this bad? Obviously, like Andrea Bocelli and his son, great voices, great song choice. However, why the fuck are there people dancing on stage, dancing beautifully, great choreography? Why the fuck are there people dancing on stage when we are supposed to be looking at the screen thinking of the ones we've lost? And because of the fucked up way they did it, half the time you couldn't even fucking see the screen. We were like way
pulled back
here.
so far,
and then
so you can
they
see all the
did this
dancers.
thing where they had the screens like 5 screens, and they showed first somebody in the middle and then the 2 next to that, and they moved out. But because it was 2 different places, you had to like move your head and you'd miss people. It was so fucking bad. It was one of the worst. It honestly, at the time, like left such a bad taste in my mouth for the whole fucking show. It was really fucking bad. And like, in memoriam's never perfect. This was the worst in memoriam I have ever fucking seen.
It was bad. Then the best / worst part of it was they're like, oh shit, we're out of time. So they did like a big slide at the end with like
with a bunch of
300 names on it.
Oh my God, that's right.
And it's like, I mean, and again, like I said, some people get left off, whether it's intentional or unintentional, but like they put some pretty decently big names like in just like a big block of text, like Lance Reddick, Ray Stevenson, others where it's just like, you can at least show a fucking picture of them. I mean, like just give them like the very slightest amount of respect, and like maybe don't have so much time spent on these fucking dancers that no one wants to watch because it's really weird for them to be doing it in this particular segment of the show. Like,
really weird.
You want to fucking start your show with a bunch of dancers? All right, it's a little different. It's a little different, but maybe it could work. But here, it was weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
And
I would say my top 2 moments of the show. One was that they brought out Danny DeVito and Arnold.
That was good.
What?
To do like they're reunited, and I was kind of like, oh, they just did this for the Super Bowl. Like, why do we care? And then they came out and they were talking about how they were both Batman villains, and then they started having a bit with Michael Keaton in the audience, and it was fucking awesome.
Keaton was giving him the stare down.
Oh, Keaton was totally all in on it. It was great. Like, the banter was great. The jokes were great. It was so good. It was like so fun to like see them all in the same room, and like, I don't know, it was very fun. It was a very good Batman throwback. I loved it. I thought that was very fun.
Yeah. What was number 2?
No, that was number 2.
Oh,
These are my
well,
top
what was
2
your
moments.
second one? Which is your number 1 then? Your top moment of the Oscars.
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Ryan Gosling's performance.
Yes, of course.
The best. I mean, it was so fucking good. Having other Kens up on stage.
It wasn't just Ryan. Yeah.
Him starting in the audience before Margot, behind Margot, who's trying to fucking keep it together and she can't. And then him dancing with Emma Stone in the front row. I love seeing them reunited. It was just really fun. And he was genuinely fantastic.
He's good.
He is really good. He's really, really good.
Got
and
some
it was
pipes.
just so fun. That was the best part of
it was awesome.
the
Yeah.
whole show.
Because they got Simu Liu, Ncuti Gatwa, and Kingsley Benadire was there.
Yeah, and then the guy who played Captain America's brother.
Captain America's brother. Captain America had a brother? Bucky Barnes?
Hold, please.
Brother in arms, maybe.
Right? Isn't that? I swear that's what.
If I'm looking for this on YouTube, what am I searching for?
You're searching for I'm Just Ken.
I'm Just Ken
Oscars.
performance.
Yeah. Because it's good.
But don't watch it right now.
Yeah, maybe save it for later. Yeah. When you're feeling good, you're basking in your post-episode glory. You just queue up I'm Just Ken. Maybe you'll put on some Bluey after that, but yeah.
He's Captain America's brother.
As in Chris Evans' brother? Okay. All right. Very good.
Is that Ryan Gosling there with the black cowboy hat?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Look at that guy in his...
All right, let's go on to the awards, shall we?
Well, I have one more snub to mention. I snubbed it earlier. That fucking dog from Anatomy of a Fall
dog was so good.
should have gotten a fucking nomination for that performance.
Some kind of honorary
because,
Oscar.
And Andrew knows this, we have dogs and they don't listen all that well. That fucking dog put in a performance of a lifetime with that.
Also,
fucking
it was
faking being
there,
sick shit.
and it was in the audience.
And it was there. That's why I thought about it, yeah.
Lying below it
to do
have it clap.
The clapping,
it was
yeah.
so funny.
It was awesome. All right. Yes. We can get to the awards.
I'm doing, because I'm faster, running through the categories that no one gives a shit about, that we didn't watch all the shit from. I'm just going to do it.
It's not so much that we don't give a shit about them. It's that we barely have enough time to watch all the other things, so these fall by the wayside. Correct. So I don't want to disrespect them, but we don't really have time for them because we didn't dedicate the time to watching any of these things. Yeah. So anyway, yes.
Congratulations to The Last Repair Shop, which won documentary short.
Good for you.
The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which won live action short, which, fun fact, was one of the Wes Anderson short, right? That's one that's a Wes Anderson
correct,
short,
and it is
it's
streaming on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Animated short went to War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
The true beginning of the BCU, the Beatles cinematic universe. Very good, very good. It starts with an animated short. You didn't see that coming, did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Next up is the documentary feature.
Sure.
Which was 20 Days in Mariupol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think was pretty heavily favorited to win.
And indeed it did.
So those we just went through real quick.
Sure.
Are we ready to do?
Yeah, let's go through these others. Yeah.
All right. Starting with visual effects.
Yeah, visual effects.
We saw almost all of these movies. You saw almost all of these movies.
Yep. I think Andrew and I would have seen all of these except for Napoleon. I think Napoleon is the only movie. The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians Volume 3, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
I can guarantee you that Napoleon did not win that one.
It did not. It did not win that one.
Correct.
You are correct.
To be fair, I did not see Godzilla -1, but I wanted The Creator to win, just to win something, because despite its stupid score, fuck you, Hans Zimmer.
Ooh.
The Creator, I thought, was a really
except
good
for
movie.
when you do Dune stuff. But you should not neglect your other materials just because you're doing Dune.
Pirates of the Caribbean and Lion King.
Yeah, but those recently, you can't just ride on the Pirates of the Caribbean coattails. We're talking about 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago. Yeah.
But ultimately, the winner was
Gojira -1.
Yeah, they were so cute when they came up to accept their award. They were all wearing these Godzilla shoes where the heel was like a Godzilla claw.
Yeah,
it was so cute.
And they had little Godzilla figures that they all were carrying around. It was awesome. And they're like, oh shit, I have to carry an Oscar with my Godzilla thing too, and talk and hold a speech.
It was very funny.
No, it was awesome. I was thrilled to see Godzilla -1 win for best visual effects. First, I think nomination and win for any Godzilla movie ever, which Godzilla times Kong is probably not going to, be the second. But it was well deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have nominated in other categories potentially. It wasn't. I think this was the only one it got nominated for, but it took home the Oscar and it was well deserved in my opinion. And you should watch it, Anna.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Because I'll happily rewatch it, probably in color, but the black and white one's probably
Black and
pretty
white
cool, too.
one would be pretty cool.
Minus
pretty cool.
color.
Yeah.
All right. What
Next
else?
up
What's next?
is sound.
Yeah.
And we did see all of these: The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible, blah, 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 Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest.
Mm-hmm.
And even though again love The Creator, my pick for this was for both what I wanted to win and what I thought would win was Oppenheimer, because thinking about the sound, both the silence of the bomb, thinking about the sound and the design of when he's picturing the things in his head, those like really stuck with me as fantastic engineering and like creative presentation of sound. But I'm not surprised or like sad about the winner,
The actual winner, sure.
which is The Zone of Interest.
Yeah. How much do you know about the Zone of Interest?
I think we should not tell him.
Me? I don't know.
I'm gauging to start with here. Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot.
Okay.
Do you know any? Like, I knew nothing.
Right. You had asked me multiple times what's it about, and I was just like, I think I gave you the vaguest of descriptions, which was probably not all that.
I think it's about like it's like a German soldier kind of deal, and that's about all I know.
Okay.
No, you're not wrong.
No, he's not.
But there's huge pieces of it that you're missing, and I think you should go into it not knowing, and then we will reconvene to talk about the sound, because I can't tell you the amazing things about the sound.
What we can
without, like,
say
spoiling.
is that it deserved to win.
It deserved to win. It
Other things could have won.
Sound
and I think
design
would have
is what you're
deserved to
saying.
win, but I do think.
But that's the thing, is it's not anymore.
Well, it's sound, which is what, mixing and design, I guess, and whatever else. Kind of, it's all combined into one sound award now. Which is, to be fair, what Andrew and I do for our award. And I picked The Creator as my personal pick at the time because I hadn't seen The Zone of Interest. I don't know that I necessarily would have changed it. I think I'm a sucker for all the sci-fi shit, and that fucking targeting laser thing was still the coolest goddamn thing in the world.
Yeah, that's cool.
But The Zone of Interest heavily relies on its sound design and I guess mixing. To great effect.
Yeah.
So
yes,
it deserved to win. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we are gonna do makeup and hairstyling.
Okay.
This was Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow, which I had also never heard of.
Netflix one as well. I think it's a Spanish language. I don't know if it's
okay.
I think it might be Mexican.
My win for this, or my pick for this, was actually Maestro, which again, as I said, was not a very good film.
Also on Netflix.
However, the old man makeup for Bradley Cooper, two different, like old man and older man, was some of the best I've fucking seen. It was so good. Like, It was just so well done. It was miraculous, and I have never seen, like, you see old age makeup and you're like, wow, that looks fucking terrible.
Yeah, common examples. Prometheus is probably a big one. Old Guy Pearce was fucking ridiculous in that movie. An example from 2024. Cillian Murphy as old Oppenheimer looked bad. It looked bad in that movie. It looked like old man makeup.
It was not good.
Fucking Johnny Knoxville looked better in whatever the old man shit he was doing in that one movie where he was a grandpa. Like, that looked better.
Yeah.
That literally looked better than Oppenheimer.
Yeah. No, Oppenheimer's was not good, but I did think that Maestro's was...
It was well done, which is weird because the young man makeup was terrible. And obviously, it was a source of controversy with the nose and stuff too. But it just looked. I don't even know if Uncanny Valley is the right way of putting it. He just didn't.
Fake.
It looked fake. He didn't look like a person.
Yeah.
You know.
And then ultimately, this award went to Poor Things, which I think is fine. I think that the makeup exhibited in the like highlight video for the Oscars, it was like this. The only thing impressive at all I felt was Willem Dafoe's face makeup, his like Frankenstein-esque. But again, like in the same way, and this is, I go back to this, like, the reason that I think Maestro's was better is because it looked so natural. It looked real.
Yeah.
Poor Things, it wasn't supposed to look real. It was supposed to be kind
Everything
of
was,
fantastical.
right,
It was supposed
very
to
surreal.
be yeah. And I just think that's easier. I just think that's not as hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, fine, whatever. In relation to makeup and hairstyling, I think in a lot of ways, costume design. Yeah. I kind of was between Killers of the Flower Moon and Barbie for this one. And I wanted Barbie to win because I do think that it was really creative the way that they made literal fucking doll clothes look like vintage couture. Like, it was incredible. Like, it was stuff you want to wear. It was really well, adapted from doll shit. But I ultimately felt that Poor Things would win, and it did in fact win.
Did.
And
all those big poofy dresses that Emma Stone is wearing. Big sleeves. Yeah, big poofy sleeves.
And
not
I
the
do
dresses
think the
themselves.
sleeves were very cool, and there were certain outfits she wore that were very cool. However, the reason I wouldn't give it to it myself is that despite these outfits where she had a cool shirt, cool top, she was then just wearing like mini skirts and boots. And it took me out of it a little bit because I was like, this doesn't fit the vibe. And I think she didn't have to be wearing a ball gown skirt or whatever. Like, there were other options for that. So while I kind of liked the top half of stuff, I was less impressed with the bottom for most of it. The dancing scene, or the whole outfit, was good. But yes, that's costume design.
Yeah, and this, I think both these last two, between makeup and hairstyling and costume design, to me, I expected going in, Poor Things is going to get recognition, at the very least, for a lot of its technical aspects. And it was an open question to me of, is it going to get more than that? So we'll get there, obviously, but I wasn't surprised by either of these. I predicted, I think, both of these wins for both costume design and makeup and hairstyling, even though they weren't both necessarily my personal picks. I think makeup and hairstyling kind of went with it, which I didn't feel strongly about anything in there in the first place, but I was rooting for Barbie here, but I wasn't surprised by Poor Things winning. Yeah.
Yep. Next up, we're going to do production design.
All right.
The nominees here were Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Again, my pick for this was Barbie. Because
I should have saved my comments. Sorry.
What?
Just because this is very much the exact same thing happening.
Because again, Poor Things won here for production design, and I think there were aspects of Poor Things production design that was really cool, particularly in certain sets. But I also felt that, in my opinion, and I know that this is definitely more like subjective, I just felt that some of the design just, I know it wasn't AI, but it felt like AI, and it just kind of took me out of it in certain ways. But like, there were certain things like the square in Paris and those buildings, like that was so well done. And then also the Lisbon, that when she's like exploring Lisbon, I just thought the whole design of that was very cool and very good. And I do think they're like, I'm not mad about that win. But again, I just thought the way that Barbie both took literal fucking toys and made houses out of it, and the way they did everything with like, with her hairbrush and like her toothbrush like, I don't know, it just felt really cool. Like, I wanted to go live in that world. Like, I wanted to go explore that world. And then I also think the stuff in the real world was really well done too. Like, some of the things you wouldn't think about as much. Like, I don't know, literally like the fucking bus stop. They made it feel magical.
Yeah. I mean, so for production design, I rooted for Barbie, and then obviously it didn't win. Poor Things won. The production I think production design Barbie might have been my personal pick as well for the year in review. I just, the actual Barbie world stuff, to me, Barbie Land, I don't know, I guess whatever it was actually called, that was the most impressive stuff. The real world stuff was fine. I think it was the more interesting thing of seeing them in it, with their kind of larger than life types of things. But this is the first time, I don't think Poor Things was something that we had not watched, I think, when we recorded our Dune coverage. So this is the first time I've had a chance to talk about Poor Things in any capacity, having seen it now. I think I mean, we can deal in, if we want to get into it later, we can talk about narrative concerns, which I think are certainly valid and certainly worth talking about. But I do think that the aspects of Poor Things that, to me, elevated it above some of the other things is just, it's an incredible looking film to me, and it's very unique and it's very different. And the AI things you're talking about, I'm like, this is a film that is so surreal looking that it looks like it's fucking generated by a computer. Yeah. And I don't disagree with that, but that to me is more impressive for it. So I wasn't mad that it won here. I think it's a deserved win.
I also think it's the best thing about the film.
I agree. I agree with that in general. We have we've had conversations off air about the narrative of it and, things about, aspects of that. But I think that the thing that we definitely have common ground on for sure is it's an incredibly well-made, it's a well-acted film, and we can talk about that later too. But it's an incredibly, it's an incredible looking film.
It's cool to look.
It's very cool to look at. And we knew that from the teaser. We knew that from the trailer. Like, oh, it's going to be a weird fucking Yorgos thing.
I did, because I think some of the things, I feel like a lot of the trailers were so focused on the black and white fisheye shit, and I hated that.
Yeah, well, and I didn't think it needed any of that. Like, once it pops with the colors, it opens up the world in such a cool way. Like, it's a very, it feels,
you want to go explore
Dr. Caligari-esque, like surrealist silent film era, and but it's AI of the modern era. It's just it's a very wacky, unique vision of our world, which is so unlike anything that's been out recently. That this was one where I'm like, you know what? I predicted it to win, even if it wasn't my personal pick. I understood why they went this way, and I wasn't surprised either. I knew that this was going to be an awards darling, which it was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up is editing.
Yeah. What do we got here?
I was rooting for and predicted Anatomy of a Fall. Also nominated were The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And ultimately, Oppenheimer was the winner.
It was the winner.
And again, I wasn't mad about it. I just think that Anatomy of a Fall, everything
I think
about,
it was my pick, wasn't it?
I think it was your pick.
I just thought the way, and obviously part of this is direction too, and in some ways like production and set design, but I just thought that the way they edited, particularly a lot of the voiceovers, with the way they went through the house, and I just thought the way they presented it as they're going through this trial, I just thought the editing was really well done. In just showing us this story visually.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it was your personal pick, Andrew. I believe Oppenheimer was my personal pick, and it was my rooting for, but I predicted Anatomy of a Fall to win. In the same way that, like, with Poor Things, I'm like, this just feels like a thing that, the voters are going to eat up, and like, rightfully so. They wouldn't be wrong to do so. But interestingly enough, Oppenheimer took home the trophy here, which I wasn't mad about, certainly, but I was a little surprised. But and I don't know that we're necessarily following the exact order of how the awards were presented.
We are not.
But I think this is the first in sequence of things that we've talked about thus far on this episode that has gone to Oppenheimer, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not misremembering. So maybe it's the first of a few. But what's next?
Next up is cinematography, which we touched on because it's El Conde,
right,
Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Andrew, you saw 3 of those, including one that neither of us saw. Mm-hmm. So I guess of those 3, El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer, which would be your pick?
El Conde would be my pick from those 3.
Which was indeed your pick, other than
I think
Cecil,
El Conde is striking. It's different. I don't know. It's just it's unique in the sense that it's a monochromatic film. I think that it's it captures a different landscape than the different movies, that are presented.
Probably one hurt by the fact that, like, not enough people watched it.
Yeah, probably the people voting didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Is probably the honest truth of it.
So what'd they pick?
They picked Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
Oppenheimer's, I mean, not to discredit Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's a unique movie because, like, there's a lot of portraits in Oppenheimer, and it portrays a lot of unique things.
Also, as we talked about, color versus black and white throughout,
really
I think
well
is probably something that
I
didn't hurt its chances of winning here.
Also, to me, a lot of the like almost like the POVs, like the points of view.
Yeah.
I thought were really interesting, particularly when like number one, when he's when everybody is at the table testifying. And you're looking for, like, you kind of feel all these faces on you and you feel like you're in the moment. And then again with the test.
Yeah.
I just think that all of the cinematography when they're out in the desert, from when they're riding the horses to when they're like building the town and to when they're doing the test, I just think it was like really beautiful. And I know it's like less so cinematography, it's kind of more visual effects, but again, like the way that
no, I mean, it's not
you a
to
visual
discredit.
of inside his brain.
You can't discredit one in order to elevate another.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's. I think that El Conde is artistic, and I think that it's unique, and I think that it's striking, and I think that it does that stuff independent of a big film like,
Oppenheimer.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not to discredit something like Oppenheimer. I just think that if approaching something independent and uniquely artistic like El Conde, I think it does a very good job of elevating itself and making itself relevant and artistic. And it's kind of the way that it does things. So, that's that.
All right. Next one. Next award.
Let's go to the other features. So first up, animated feature.
Yeah.
Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Which at the time that we watched the Oscars, we had seen 1 of 5.
Correct.
Spider-Man.
And now we have seen 2.
We've seen 2 out of 5 now. That's right.
And we predicted, even though we hadn't seen it yet, that The Boy and the Heron would win, and it did indeed win.
It did. Mm-hmm. And we've seen it now. We've seen it, and it is getting. This is sort of news that we could. I guess I'm plugging in on the spot. It's getting a bigger theatrical re-release this upcoming weekend, which I guess like March 22nd or whatever. So it'll probably be in theaters by the time this is up, or hopefully still in theaters, or at least expanded back into theaters with, I think, like bonus featurettes or something included too. So Andrew, your opportunity. If you want to watch it in theaters, it's coming back around. It is also, they confirmed that it's going to be streaming on Max sometime this year, but no date. So I think it's going to be a while. But we saw it in theaters. We saw it at a little rinky dink theater down the road.
Was it so good?
No, it was. I think
good. It's good. It's good.
But
it's
not up to his usual standard.
It's kind of not what I expected.
Oh, no. That's not what I wanted to hear at all.
I think he's getting cynical in his old age.
I don't blame him. I'm getting fucking cynical in my young age.
Tack on another 50 or 60 years or whatever to get up to Miyazaki's age, and you're going to be cynical. Oh, fuck.
There were like good parts of it, but I think it was just like family dynamics were fucked up. It was very cynical, and I
It was a darker movie than I expected.
All right,
didn't leave you feeling.
I think maybe calibrate expectations accordingly.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely. I mean, the animation's beautiful. I think it's a very interesting movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely interesting.
And I don't think I think the problem, and maybe this is a personal failing, I don't think I got it. I don't think I fully got it. Like on a first pass, I feel like I didn't quite comprehend or understand everything that he was trying to say. And I it left me a little wanting coming out of the theater. But I would like to watch it again. We watched it with the English, which I forgot my policy with Studio Ghibli stuff is like if it's like set in Japan and like it makes more sense to watch it in Japanese for me. Like my brain clicks into it more.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would have made a big difference, to be honest. But I think the next time I watch it,
we'll watch it.
And I do want to watch it again, I think, to kind of parse it out a little bit more, but I want to watch it in Japanese
Maybe
this
when
time.
you eventually get around to it in your Ghibli rewatch in like
when we finish
23 years.
our long expansive series of Studio Ghibli bonus episodes.
You are going to watch Ponyo out of order, though, right?
Yeah, we'll watch
It took
Ponyo
a long.
out of
I've been
order.
trying to get this man to watch Ponyo for 4 fucking years.
No, we got to go in order. I'm on like
years. March 2020,
Pompoko
I ordered
or
that shit,
something like that.
And he said,
Pompoko?
"Nope, I'm not going to
Yeah.
watch Ponyo until we get
Porco
to
Rosso.
it."
Porco Rosso. Yes.
Wait, have you seen Ponyo?
That's the one with the little bubble?
The fish girl? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I love that one. I love Ponyo. It's just so
I like
good.
the one with the little raccoons with the nut sacks. You know what I'm talking about?
I think isn't that Pompoko? I think that's Pompoko. I have seen that one, and it's very like, this would not get made in America.
Yeah, they got nut sacks.
I have not seen that one.
It's not like vulgar. Well, I mean, it's kind of vulgar, but it's not like
they're just living their life. I mean, it's okay.
it just wouldn't fly in America. Like they'd have to John Cena that and cover up the bits. Yeah.
No pun intended.
A lot of nuts.
No, just literally cover up the bits.
I don't know.
We'll explain after the
move
episode.
on.
That's fine. Anyway, I think The Boy and the Heron, I'm not mad about it winning.
Yeah.
I understand the appeal of it. Spider-Man was probably still my personal pick, though, even having seen
Honestly,
both.
it might even be mine too.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right. Next
yes.
up is international feature.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if the one that won here is the one that's also nominated for Best Picture. did.
Maybe, yeah.
It did.
Oh,
It
okay.
did. Zone of Interest won international feature.
Which is interesting because Japanese, the country of Japan, nominated a different film that wasn't Godzilla -1 here, and I think only like per country is like one slot. You can only choose to nominate one. So they I think was it Perfect Days? I think was the Japanese
I'm
one.
not sure.
I think so because Io Capitano I think was Italian. Teachers Lounge I think was another European country. Society of the Snow. I think, like I said, I know it was a Spanish language one. I'm just not sure what the country of origin is for it. And then, the Zone of Interest, I guess, I think it's technically a British movie, right? Isn't it the
Correct.
UK production?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though it was entirely actually in German
language
and took place in Poland.
Yes.
But it was I think it was a combination of Polish and
It's like a UK Poland
filmmakers.
co-production.
Yeah, but it was technically under UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's international feature.
And, it was the only one of those 5 that we've seen, right?
Sure.
So that's international feature. What do we have left? I'm going to keep this plugging along, right?
Next up, we're going to do the music categories.
Ooh.
So talking about original song first. The first is The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, and this is the atrocious Diane Warren song that Becky G performed, and it's from that stupid-ass Cheetos movie.
Cheetos movie?
Good. Yeah, they performed all these at the Oscars. That one was not good. It wasn't good. Let's see. Then I'm Just Ken from Barbie, which we already talked about. Excellent performance. Ryan Gosling, wonderful. Catchy song, so good. It Never Went Away, which is from American Symphony, which is actually a documentary about John Baptiste and his first symphony and composing it while his wife was going through, or his partner was going through, a battle with cancer.
Oh man!
And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful song. And then, I'm gonna butcher this. Oh, Obi just yelled at me for it. Washazi, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. This performance was so fucking cool because there were like Osage people there drumming on the stage, and they had this cool like orange lights on the stage, and they were drumming, and it was just like a really cool performance, and it looked awesome, and it's like a really cool song, and it's beautiful. And then the final song nominated was What Was I Made For, also from Barbie.
Man,
and this is it's the Billie Eilish song. And obviously, well, and it's Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas. And obviously they have won an Oscar before. They actually won for their Bond song, which in my opinion should not have won that year because it should have been Dos Araguitas from Encanto. Do you remember that year?
What song was it?
So it was the Dos Araguitas, Two Butterflies from Encanto. I should have won.
Yeah, that was so good.
So good. And Billie Eilish, and I like Billie Eilish a lot, but I didn't think her Bond song was very good.
It wasn't. I mean, not compared to that song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, yeah. But
now, what am I made for? Not what am I made for? Yeah, it's a pretty good song.
It's a beautiful song. It like makes me want to cry. It's so good.
Every time I cry every time.
Very low key, but really beautiful. She just sounds so good. I love watching them perform together. They're just so cute. Like they're just such like a fun, creative duo. And spoilers, that one won. Which I was rooting for I'm Just Ken just because it's so fun. It's so good.
That's a good song too.
And,
but
I think Colton was too a bit rooting for I'm Just Ken. But we were not mad. I don't think anyone could be mad at Billie winning. Right, Colton? You were happy about Billie Eilish winning.
I wasn't mad about Billie winning here. I believe. Let me check notes.
Were you rooting for I'm Just Ken?
I was expecting Billie to win. I was rooting for I'm Just Ken. I mean, I felt the Kenergy. While I watched Barbie, and I felt it again while I watched the Oscars,
so
and it just, I don't know. It's a great Billie song. It's a Billie song. It's deserving, but I'm Just Ken is just, I don't know.
Iconic.
I'm Just Ken is the song that makes me want to get the fucking Barbie soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And I'll happily listen to the other things that are on there, including What Was I Made For, but I want it for I'm Just Ken.
Also, the fact that Dua Lipa didn't get nominated.
Dua Lipa
that's fucking insane. Yeah.
That was a snub.
Yeah.
All right.
Dance the Night was a fucking banger, and it absolutely.
Dua Lipa's always a banger.
Barbie's soundtrack alone could have swept the nominations here, and it would have not been crazy.
Yeah, I do agree.
So.
Next up is original score. Nominated were American Fiction, Indiana Jones, and the Dial of Destiny.
The Corn Cob of Destiny.
Traumatic flashbacks. The Corn Cob for me there. Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Mm-hmm. And I think both of us were rooting for the same thing, expecting the same thing, and it won. Is that correct?
If that thing is Oppenheimer, then yes.
Damn straight.
Yeah. Fucking Ludwig, man.
Ludwig, he's just so good.
He's got luscious hair, and he can score him. He can do a mean score for a movie.
And he was very cute about his wife and his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well earned. It was great. It's always good. It fit so well, and I quite pleased with that one.
It's pretty much every year that Ludwig is going to be nominated, and
yeah,
at the very least nominated.
At the very least nominated, and
if
it
he's
just feels like
he's probably going to win.
Yeah, I mean, you might need a special Hans Zimmer pulling a Dune out of his ass kind of thing to maybe, disrupt that, but no such thing this year. So it was Ludwig's. Yeah.
Yes.
And
all right.
Happy about that.
I think we're ready for the writing categories.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Adapted screenplay, American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. I was very much rooting for American Fiction because I just felt that script, that dialogue was so snappy, was so good, and just so engaging and compelling, and I loved it. But I expected that Oppenheimer would win.
I think we both very much predicted Oppenheimer would win. I think I was double rooting in this one because I have two underlines on my little thing. So I was both rooting for American Fiction and Oppenheimer. Yeah. I think I initially picked Oppenheimer, and then I was like, wait, I think I actually picked American Fiction as my personal pick for the year. So I have to root for that.
And the Academy agreed with us. Yeah. And American Fiction won an Oscar.
I think it's one and
adapted screenplay.
One and only, maybe.
But it was so good, and I was so glad that it won. And
it's nice because it felt like a classic oh, we'll nominate it for a few things, Best Picture, blah, 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 but that's not going to win anything. But I'm glad that it got at least one win.
Yeah, because that was a great movie.
Because it's very well deserved. It was my number 2. Well, I guess both of our number 2s of the year, because our top 4-ish were roughly the same. Yeah, it was nice to see it get some recognition for sure. And like, look, Oppenheimer already got some love. Maybe it'll get some more, so.
Yeah. Next is original screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall.
Barbie should be nominated here.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, the rules of this are dumb, but yeah.
Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. I was expecting Anatomy of the Fall. I was hoping that The Holdovers might pull an upset.
Yeah. And there was like this weird little bit of controversy of like, the holdover screenplay was totally plagiarized. This came out like a day before the Oscars.
It's ridiculous.
And like they stole things word for word from this other project.
The guy
and then
who wrote Luca.
And then the guy did like it was like a weird hit piece. I think maybe Variety, which I'm not surprised because Variety seems to be just a shithole these days. Which I probably use Variety as my source for some news this episode, but
it was bullshit.
Yeah, it was they took these things word for word, and I'm like, I don't think you know what word for word means, because this isn't the same. It's different, and also like it's not just a find and replace sort of deal. It's just totally different. So I think it was horseshit, and I think that story kind of just went the way of the wind because exactly one trade reported on it, and everyone else was just like, this is fucking dumb. Yeah. So fuck off.
But still, The Holdovers did not win.
It did not win. But
Anatomy of a Fall did.
Yeah, okay. Anatomy of a Fall did, yeah. Which I predicted. I was rooting for Past Lives. I think Past Lives was just a really beautiful film. I mean, I think obviously it's deserving of recognition in other respects too, but I thought the screenplay was I thought the writing and the dialogue of it was very well done. But Anatomy of a Fall, I kind of predicted because it was just that sort of dynamic thing. And even though, as I talked about with you, Andrew, the courtroom stuff left Anna and I a little bit at a loss at times.
Right.
I could understand.
That's how it goes in France.
Right. It could have been totally a realistic depiction,
but it would not happen here.
And it was interesting. Like, it was really well written. It was snappy. It was it was the kind of thing I'm just like, I could see this winning because of the way that this is constructed, because of how much of this is kind of talky bits, but it's all very well done. So I think it was a good win. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that the transition between the different languages was very
that's true.
well done as well.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shall we get
into
the
acting? Yeah.
I think, Andrew, you've seen a lot of these.
Yeah. Might have more things to say, potentially.
Yeah. So actor in a supporting role, we already kind of talked about pretty extensively. Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, Mark Ruffalo. I was rooting for Ryan Gosling just because I love him, and it would have been a fun performance to win this. But I'm not mad that Robert Downey Jr. won. I think he's come
Playing
such a
big
long
old
way.
dickhead.
I think that this movie, his performance in this movie, like I said, he's more than Tony Stark. He's more than Iron Man. I think he was really good, and I was not mad about this one.
I do think that the disrespect that he showed to Kiwi Kwan should disqualify him, though. So I think that it should have gone to Ryan Gosling.
He did take a selfie with him.
I know. I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, Downey was great. I mean, I predicted this. Wasn't surprised. Was happy to see it. I think it's deserved. And Robert Downey Jr., it must be said, hell of a career trajectory that guy has had. He's come a long, long way from the dark days. And Jimmy Kimmel, I think, gave him a little bit of it in the beginning in the monologue. But hey, at the end of the day,
one of them is an Oscar winner, and one of them is not.
It's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Actress in a supporting role.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera, Jodie Foster, and Davine Joy Randolph.
Which I think Andrew and I had a consensus pick on this when we did our
Holdovers,
our year in review. Yeah, Davine I think was our. I think we both picked her.
I had been rooting for Davine all season, and then I had some recency bias when we were looking at this because we had watched Naiad, which is also on Netflix, and I had no interest in it, and then we watched it and it was so fucking good. So I do highly recommend that people watch Naiad.
I was going to say, this might be the part of podcast where we're like, hey, Naiad,
actually really fucking good.
Worthwhile.
Absolutely,
you wouldn't think
worthwhile.
It would be.
You should watch Naiad. It's really fucking good. Jodie Foster is fucking amazing in it. She's so good. Annette Bening is great. Reese
Evans, yeah.
Also fantastic. really, really good and unexpectedly so. So I would not have been mad if Jodie Foster won, but as soon as I saw Davine on the red carpet and like remembered how much I love her and how good she was in, I was like, nah, it's just gotta be her. And indeed, it was. And it was really beautiful watching her get this award and also watching Lupita introduce her while they were both wearing their light blue and looking like princesses.
Yeah.
Actor in a leading role: Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, Jeffrey Wright.
Stacked.
Absolutely stacked.
Except for maybe Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper.
I don't know who I would replace him with, though.
Yeah, I
like,
think
I'm sure someone else could slot in, but he was always kind of like the number 5 of this lot. Yeah.
Rustin, I think I liked more than you did. Also a Netflix film. But I thought it was really good, and I thought it was worth watching. And especially if you like the kind of like 60s kind of chaotic direction and cinematography, like I really do. I think you'll enjoy it more. Pretty standard biopic.
Yeah.
But
I think Rustin I talked about a little bit at the end of Dune Part 2. I think I might have talked about Naiad even though I hadn't finished it. I think we ended up having to do like 30-40 minutes of it like the Sunday morning of the Oscars day.
Yeah.
So some of these I definitely did say. What I said about them, I you could I don't know what I said. It was after many hours of recording, so I don't really know, to be quite honest. But yeah, I liked Rustin. I think it was good enough.
Watching.
I think Coleman Domingo was the best part of it.
Yeah, he made me cry.
Yeah,
he was very good.
I think he was excellent. I think it was a great performance in a movie that is otherwise good without being great.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I felt about
it. I think that's fair. I do think this was an easy pick though. I would love to look at the voting breakdown because I imagine it was in the 80s. Cillian Murphy earned this shit.
Mm-hmm.
He was so good. Everybody was really good, but I thought he was clearly the best. He was the best here. Cillian Murphy, man.
That's how I felt about it. That's why I picked him when we did our
big film with the axe
year in review. But yeah, to me, Oppenheimer is just a triumph of a film in general, and I just think that Cillian Murphy
is the heart of it.
Yeah, the movie doesn't work as well without him.
Yeah,
is the truth of it because it's got an impressive cast all around, sometimes distractingly impressive sort of cast, but jump scare sort of cast. But Cillian Murphy is just he's just so good. I just thought he just such range in that role, and obviously seeing him in the different time periods.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was deserved.
Andrew, did you have a different pick for actor in a leading role?
I think he might have. Picked Mr.
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Fishman Giamatti. the Rhino Giamatti.
I do think that's what I picked.
I think that's a fair pick too.
Yeah, and like I said, other than Bradley Cooper, there's an argument to be made for probably any of them. Again, other than Bradley Cooper, who I don't think an argument could be made for.
All right. Actress in a leading role: Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, Emma Stone. Again, a fucking stacked category. They were so good. Lily Gladstone, I've been rooting for all season. After seeing all of these, she's still my pick. She's amazing. She is the heart and soul of that movie. She is everything. She has that subtlety. She is amazing. It also would have been an iconic and amazing win. And she didn't fucking win.
She did not.
Who won?
Emma Stone.
Oh, I didn't see that movie.
Like I said, it's a stacked category. I did not like that movie. I have a lot of problems with that movie. I can't deny that Emma Stone was fantastic in it. She gave a great performance. She was one of, I just don't think she was I would put both Lily Gladstone and Sandra Hüller above her.
Okay.
I kind of have a theory that the vote was split.
Yeah, it does feel like a classic thing
like
where
Olivia Colman. Yeah. Olivia Colman was not the best her year, but I think the votes got split between Lady Gaga and Glenn Close, who were both better than her, and she ended up with more. And I think that's what happened here too. Not to, take away from Emma, although Emma's already won. But this journey that Lily's been on this whole time, that to me, her being the clear favorite to win, deservedly so, and then to have Emma, like, I don't know. It just,
and it's kind of interesting because it almost felt like when Emma Stone won, she kind of like panicked because she's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's like she wasn't expecting it.
Like, well, she wasn't expecting it. I don't even think she like wanted to in some ways. I think she's happy to win. She's already won it, to be fair. Let's not get greedy. You can't win more than once. That's being greedy, obviously. But I think she knew in her heart that like she's just like, oh, I did think Lily was going to win this, and I was never going to be mad about that. I was always going to support that, and I feel like they had been kind of supportive on the campaign trails, but I think it was a little unexpected, and I think I think Emma Stone, I think has handled it very gracefully and everything, and like she doesn't owe Lily anything at the same time either. But it does. I just
think also objectively, performance-wise, I think Lily was better.
I agree. I think that Lily's performance required more. I think this is kind of the same thing we talked about with the Ruffalo thing of like,
it's easier to be
when you're doing zany and crazy and weird, and like it's not exhibiting as much range so much as just like, are you comfortable being fucking weird in front of a camera or whatever, and it's like probably a hard enough skill to pull off and do it effectively. And Emma Stone is very good, and she usually is very good, and she is very good in this movie, but Lily Gladstone was, and it's kind of the same sort of way, kind of a revelation. I had never seen her in anything prior to Killers of the Flower Moon.
I want to watch all her movies now.
Yeah, sure, and so this is the one moment in the Oscars where I think both of us felt a little bummed.
Yeah,
this was the Jamie Lee Curtis moment, and I don't think it's that as egregious. It's not that. I think any one of these women could have won, and I would have been like, okay, all right. I mean,
it's honestly the Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
I love Olivia Colman. I was so happy for her. Her speech was hilarious. She was great. I just didn't feel that she was the best or even the second best performance in that category that year. And that's how I feel here. Fucking Yorgos. Fucking hate Yorgos.
Well, the good news is...
I was
going to say, the good news is Yorgos didn't win the next award.
Spoiler for the next award. Speaking of Yorgos. Best Director. We had Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall.
Right.
And as expected, as earned, as deserved over his long and incredible career, Christopher Nolan won Best Director.
Took home his first Oscar.
Which is incredible. Like, that's crazy. That he just got his, like, that's wild.
I think what's maybe crazier is, well, I mean, not necessarily crazier, and I don't think it's crazy necessarily, but I think we talked about this a few episodes ago, maybe, like Scorsese has won one Oscar for directing in his entire career, which is kind of crazy. And like, this could be true for Christopher Nolan. Like, I mean, we hope that Christopher Nolan has a career ahead of him, in which he has an opportunity to make other movies of an Oppenheimer type caliber that will earn him more directing awards. But it is kind of crazy to think about, some of these, like obviously Yorgos has been nominated a few times now. Jonathan Glazer maybe once before. Justine Triet I don't think has been nominated before. But Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, has been like one of several Scorsese movies that has basically been, spoilers for Best Picture, completely shut out in terms of winning anything. Yeah. And I think it's fucked up because Lily should have won, so it shouldn't have been true. It's not fucked up. It is what it is, but it just feels to me like, that was the one that it really, really, I think, should have rightfully won. But Christopher Nolan earned this shit for Oppenheimer. I think it is kind of his most refined, most accomplished work as a director, even if you don't think it's his best movie.
His magnum opus.
Yeah, I mean, truly though.
Oh, you get it, the OP.
That's right. And so, yeah, very good, very good. We appreciate that.
All right, final category of the night: Best Picture.
What's going to be 10 nominations?
American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, do you know already? Do you already know what won? Do you know?
No.
Any guesses?
I do think that Oppenheimer probably won.
Probably won.
It did indeed.
Yeah,
it did win.
We could just tell you that it did.
It won.
Yeah,
it did.
It won Best Picture. Yeah, and I think that's deserved. I think we had an amazing category this year.
I mean, I think of this, we don't have to get into the full Poor Things conversation. In fact, we're running long, so we probably won't. I think of these, this is a good category overall for this year. I mean, I think top to bottom, pretty good overall. I think some are obviously better than others. You know, Oppenheimer's is top of the pack for me personally. But like Maestro and maybe Maestro is probably my least favorite of these 10, I think, without a doubt.
I think Maestro and Poor Things are my least favorite tie.
But I even think Poor Things is probably knocking on the door of like 8 or 9 probably for me, because I think the rest is really, really, really good. Holdovers, I know Andrew was your number one of the year.
That was my favorite.
And I think that it absolutely could have won here. And a number of these. I mean, Zone of Interest, I mean, we've had a rare Parasite was the rare Best Picture and International winning crossover. This didn't really quite seem to have that sort of recognition.
Interesting, though, I just want to point out that 3 of these films nominated for Best Picture were either half or more in a different language.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall. And, 2 of those included English, but mostly are half non-English. And
Killers probably has some.
That's true. Killers has a lot not in English too.
Yeah. I don't know if the language is Osage as well, but cool category. Great collection of nominees, and overall mostly happy with the winners. Nothing too crazy. No.
But
I think overall, I think it just
stronger Oscar year.
I think so overall. I mean, I think the actual production of it, in memoriam aside, was well done. Kimmel was a good host. But I think the movies that we're talking about, with the 2024 Oscars, the 96th Academy Awards, I think just goes to show. And we crammed with a lot of the extra movies, watching it, before the Oscars. Good year. I think the things that, and this is speaking to Andrew, this is speaking to our listeners, those things that we've talked about that you haven't seen, check them out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff streaming. Most of them are streaming now, which is great. It's nice to have these all super accessible, and they're all definitely really going to be worth your time.
Except Maestro and Poor
Except Maestro is a slog of a movie, I will say. Maestro is such a slog of a movie that I had watched it by the time we covered Dune Part 2, and I forgot to talk about it. That's how much of a slog it was. So
we looked at each other 40 minutes into that movie, and we're like, "Oh my god, there's still so much left."
I mean, Poor Things, separate conversation could be had.
Love it or hate it.
It is certainly divisive, but I think that the technical aspects of
worth
it
watching, sure,
make it interesting enough and different enough than anything you've probably seen in a good while that it's worthwhile for that standpoint. And Oppenheimer, we just bought the 4K. We're due for we're rearing for a rewatch soon. I think it's time, and it's not a super rewatchable movie or anything like that. But yeah. So at the end of the day, Oppenheimer was the big winner of the night. 7 awards, that was the most of any. Poor Things at 4 was the second most, and Zone of Interest took home 2, which was the third most, and then a bunch of other movies took home 1 each. So they were spreading the love a little bit, which was nice. So so there you have it, the 96th Academy Awards.
That's it.
We're going long here. So we have made a democratic decision to forego doing the listener's corner, to forego doing a catching up on this episode.
But catch it next time.
So those are things that will be relegated to our next episode, which I'll tee up in just a couple minutes. So that brings us to the end. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/watch-review-repeat, you can get early access to all of our regular episodes, timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes that we cook up this year. Our website's watchreviewrepeat.com. We're on the socials at WRRPod on Twitter, facebook.com/watchreviewrepeat, and at watchreviewrepeat on Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, send those our way, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. I promise we will have a listener's corner in the near future. I have submissions ready to go. I know that they're there. We're going to talk about them soon, I promise you. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Credit to Anna Mattis, our new producer, recently hired.
Produced by Anna E. Mattis.
Yeah, this podcast is produced by Anna E. Mattis. And thank you for being on as well. Thank you for gracing us with your presence,
Anytime.
sharing us, sharing with us your knowledge of the red carpet, the fashion, the movies, obviously, and the many other things.
Little Oscars background too.
Yeah. So we're probably going to cover Ghostbusters Frozen Empire next. I think if we can manage a theater trek.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
That's right. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do some bustin'. So yeah, I think that's next on the plate, and I'm looking forward to it. So
It's fun.
So yeah, I'm hoping it'll be a good, fun movie, and I hope that it will make for a good, fun episode. So, that's what I have to say. I guess I'll let everyone else take us out from here.
Take care now. Bye then.
Laters on the Menjay.
Fuck you, Hans Zimmer, except for Dune.